We are back with episode 2 of season 5, and before we jump in, I want to highlight that we've partnered with our good friends over at Schiller to co-present this season. I've been advising Schiller for the last year as they help consult and market some of the most vibrationally aligned companies in the space. They're releasing their new season of Curated alongside this season of We Do A Little, so be on the lookout for new episodes from them, including some of our favorite people, such as Brian Brinkman, Sasha Stiles, Chris F., and more. Links to their podcast are in the description of the episode. We'll also be doing a little event during Art Basel Miami this year, so stay tuned for more details. If you'd like to sponsor season 5 of We Do a Little Pod, please reach out to info@schiller.xyz. That is info@schiller.xyz. Without further ado, let's dive into this week's episode. In the second episode of season 5, we are joined by Chase Marchetti, aka DJ Rhetorik. Chase is a world-renowned artist and DJ, best known for working with the rapper Logic since 2013. On top of being an insanely talented artist, he's also been deep in the crypto trenches for years. He's one of the most humble and down-to-earth friends I have, and I'm thrilled to share this wide-ranging conversation with him. We dive into Chase's musical background and how he got into producing, what it's been like to work with Mac Miller and Logic, van living life, spotting new trends and trading them in the trenches, creating Happy Goat, and so much more. As always, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. Andy D's and guests may be invested in companies or tokens talked about in this podcast.
This is Andy.
Yeah, I'm D's.
We're here. We're live with our first real episode of the week, if we can call it that. We did one right before this where I was the guest, so it felt different.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're here with DJ Rhetorik, aka Chase. Chase is a fellow Skulls holder,
Yes.
a fellow crypto degenerate that people don't know that he's a
Yes.
crypto degenerate.
Yeah.
And he's also, kind of into music and known for the music thing.
occasionally.
Does a little
It'll
touring
happen.
with Logic and friends. But
Yeah.
Chase, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm three sips into my first Celsius today.
Three
So-
sips. This is your first day in New York?
No, this is my third day. I got in. When did I get in? I got in the 30th. I played golf the 30th. I played golf yesterday, and now we're here today.
So what golf courses are you playing around here?
We played Pelham day one. They actually left my clubs in Denver, so
Oh,
I
that's
was
brutal.
I was out there in sweats, and it seemed to be par for the course at Pelham.
You were out there in sweats. Were you renting clubs?
No, I used my friend's clubs.
Oh, okay.
Played way better with his clubs too.
Are you buying his clubs when you get back to Denver?
No, but I might need to buy lessons. Yesterday we played Bethpage, and I was a little sore.
Yeah.
Uh,
Why were you sore?
just from getting straight off the plane, golfing immediately, and being 33 years old. It's a vicious combo. So I was pretty
Golf
sore.
will make you sore.
Yeah.
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 I mean, getting over 30 makes you sore.
Yeah, it does.
You get all this shit that happens to you that no one really tells you. Like, you grow up and your family, they're older and they're like, oh, my knee hurts. Oh, my back hurts. And you're like,
well,
why
get
are you
over it, Dad.
Yeah, why are you being a bitch? And then you hit 30 and things just start going wrong.
For no reason.
No, I slept on the hotel bed last night. My back hurts. And it's like, that bed is perfectly fine. When I was a kid,
It's not
Just
yours.
slightly different than the one that you're used to.
When I
Just not yours.
when I was a kid, I would sleep on a floor. I'd sleep on my friend's cement basement floor, and it didn't matter.
Yep.
So you're sore. You've been golfing. What are you getting up to this week?
Skulls dinner tonight, and then hanging out with my best friend in Brooklyn for the next couple
Is that
days.
why you were so south?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yep,
why?
yep.
Why? I was like,
Yeah, he was like, "Where is
This
he?"
is my favorite place to be. Yeah,
well, I thought maybe because there was a park.
yeah,
Right?
Prospect Park.
Yeah, and I
he
was
lives
like-
right near Prospect
And
Park.
I was like, maybe he's just vibing in the park. I know you're nature guy. You're like, oh,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
I'm just in the park. And I was like, you're 40 minutes away.
yeah, I'm just full Denver now. No, I didn't realize it was going to be that deep coming up here. When I lived in the city, I was a city kid. If I'm coming to Brooklyn, this is as far as I'm going. Maybe Bushwick. If I'm going south, it's just to the park and running home.
Where did you live in this city?
East Village, mostly.
And how long were you there for?
Most of my 20s. So my
10 years.
first New York venture was summer 2012 for an internship.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it so much that after my money ran out, I would sleep in the McDonald's on Delancey Street or sleep on the J train or anything that would go to JFK and back because that felt pretty safe to stay longer.
It felt safe.
Yeah, it felt safer. Or like there was one time that I slept in this guy that I interned with's hallway in Stuytown.
Hallway.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
wow.
I was
Like-
like,
like if-
oh, I don't want to wait on the train to go home, dude. Do you mind if I stay here? And he's like, I mean, you could sleep in the hallway. I was like, yeah,
So
20 years old, 21.
where did you grow up, and what brought you to the city for that internship? Or I guess what was that internship?
I grew up in Virginia, suburbs of Virginia, according to TikTok, the least walkable suburb in the United States of America, Chesapeake, Virginia.
Wow. No sidewalks there?
Would you agree with that? Is it the least walkable suburb you've experienced?
Like looking back at it, yeah. It was something that I was blissfully unaware of as a kid. I was
Yeah.
like, damn, it's really boring out here, but like not pretty not walkable here. Came to the city for an internship with Fader magazine. Long story short, my junior year of college, I was going to do like a news reporter internship for a local news station. And I went to get dinner with some friends, and they were talking about South by Southwest. I had really only seen it online, and they were like, yeah, well, we can't get funding from the school to go there unless like 3 more people come. And I was like, well, I'm down. Let's do it for spring break. So we go down there for spring break, rent a car, drive 24 hours from Virginia. We do this Fader thing, and a life-changing experience. And I was like, I don't want to do news. Like, I want to keep doing the music thing. So I called the guy up, and I was like, you don't have to pay me. I just need a spot in the office. And within 2 weeks, I had found a sublet on Craigslist, and I moved to New York City.
So were you doing anything? So 2 things here. I got to ask about news. What made you want to go into news? Like, did you just not know what you wanted to do? So you're like, I want to be on news. Did you want to like talk in front of cameras and be like a caster?
I chose the name Rhetoric when I was 17.
Okay. And was
So-
that related to news and journalism?
Just like
types?
speak, like I would run for the class office. We had a pretty big school. We had like 3,500, 4,000 people,
Oh, wow. That is big.
something like that.
It's like
And
1,000 in each grade.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty big.
It was a ton of kids. Huge school. We had like 40 mobile units. But I would run for like the class office or the school office or whatever so I could give a comedic speech in front of the auditorium. That was the only reason I wanted to do it.
Just for the bit equity. That was all.
Literally, yes. Life's
been
a
like
bit and then you
jokes-
die.
Yeah, jokester. You wanted to
Yes.
just crack jokes.
It's all I wanted to do.
Okay.
And it's somewhere on YouTube. So don't search. But yeah, that was it. So I was like naturally, originally I wanted to go to tech for engineering, and then I was like, oh, that's not going to make me happy. And I switched to communication and Spanish. I just felt like the natural route was like doing news, I guess, and building up from there,
I
like,
also have a communications degree.
yeah. What have
My
you done with it?
my route was I went to computer science, and I was failing out of computer science, and I was
Yeah.
like, what can I not fail out of? And it was like calm.
I tell you what, brother, it's hard. It's hard to do that.
It's hard to fail out.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you have to like just not show up to class.
And I not showed up a lot. Still made it.
Were you playing any instruments in high school or middle school? Were you involved with like band or orchestra or choir? Or where did the love of music come from where you were like, I know the internship was like the spark, but like kind of what was like the kindling that was laid down of, I love music and want to make this my life?
We had a painter when I was a little kid. Well, I had always been interested in music, like really, really interested in it. Like always had headphones on. I would want to go cut the grass just to put like my Walkman in my
Just to
pocket.
listen to
And
music.
yeah,
What kind
just
of music
listen
were
to
you listening to growing up?
Dude, I remember my first favorite song was Crocodile Rock, Elton John, and then Love Shack, B-52. And
My locker in high school was B-52. That's how I always remember it. Was
That's
B-52s. Yeah.
And then I think the moment that I was like, and into my own taste was Linkin Park Hybrid Theory.
Oh yeah.
I
Early
remember my
2000s.
mom got that for me, and I burned that sucker into the ground.
yeah.
And then when did you go from like just listening to it to like, I want to make this myself?
Honestly, dude, I remember kindergarten, like
Oh, wow, that
they'd give
early.
us recorders and be like, okay, let's learn hot cross buns. And I'd come back with like the Lion King song or something and be like, what do you think of this though?
So you were like,
Scoot over, dude.
you were naturally at a young age very skilled maybe you didn't realize it when you were a young
Yeah, I
kid.
had no clue.
But like when
I was
you're
like, just listen to what they're doing and then replicate it.
See, this is how I know that I was not put on this earth to make music. Is my grandmother, both my grandparents are like really talented musicians. Went to Juilliard, that was where they met.
Yeah.
And so
that's the
yeah, like they're like classically trained, really good musicians. And so I got piano lessons from my grandmother all growing up. And I'm just the total opposite of like, if I wasn't reading the exact sheet music put in front of me, I essentially was deaf. Like I had no idea what was going on otherwise.
Yeah.
And so it's like hearing stuff like that where it's like, you could play the song for me and I could not play a single key back for you. I couldn't do a single thing.
And I can't read music at all.
Yeah,
Like,
see,
this is 0%.
still
And that's how I know I was not made to make
Still,
music.
I did one, like, so with an honors degree at Tech, you could choose beginner level classes, reach out to the professor and say, can I do extra work to make this an honors credit? And one of them was intro to music theory. And I was like, I'll do this. And I was like, I did fine with it. And like, I just remember being like, this takes all the fun out of it. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, let me just be blissfully unaware of my lack of skill and just let delusional confidence in my ear guide me and see where it goes.
What's interesting you say that, because I'm sure it lets you to break certain conventions, because you're not beholden to like, oh, well, I learned that the theory of this is this, and you know, I got to play a scale like this. You're like, well, I can just do whatever I want because it sounds good.
Yeah. And like, even more broadly, like, too much information and too much knowledge can be inhibiting because you're so aware of the rules and regulations of whatever you're diving into.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it in markets too.
This
where
is
it's
exactly
like,
what I think to myself as I ape into the newest shit coin
Yeah,
on next screener. I'm like,
Like,
you know,
just-
too much information is inhibiting. I just
Vibration.
should buy.
It sounds good. The ticker sounds good.
why'd you buy it? I don't know. I saw the ticker. The meme was
The
great.
ticker
kinda
was
laughed.
called higher, and I thought if it was called higher, then it wouldn't go lower.
Yeah.
And that
And
was
so
it.
far, that's been true. It's proven correct.
Well, there's other tickers I buy, and they don't do what they say they're going to do. I bought study and print, both of which how does a token called print not print?
You're just too early.
I'm
You were
still
too
holding
early.
it.
It
So-
could, yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe I'm shilling my own bag. If you're looking at print, don't buy it. I think it's under $1 million market cap right now. Like, I probably shouldn't be saying that.
Yeah.
But there's just certain things I buy solely off the ticker.
Is there any sort of moral compass going on in crypto right now?
It's,
For some people, hopefully.
Yeah.
it's grayer.
Because some of these, I'm like, what are you shilling? 500,000 followers? You know?
People
like,
are shilling tokens that
And
have
the-
market caps less than their followers right now.
and then they'll quote tweet it like, see, I am God. You know, like,
I knew it.
What? Yeah.
20 soul worth of
I am
bids.
God. Here's my ref link, $250 a week for my paid group. I'm like, no.
I want to ask a lot about the crypto degenning stuff, but I also like have all
The
these.
origin of how it, yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of want to go back a little bit to more of the high school, college music stuff, because I think that's something I haven't asked you a lot about, just in our personal conversations as well. And now that it's recorded, I'm like, okay, I can ask some of these questions without like being a fanboy, because I never want to be that guy who like, you know, just meets you and I'm just like, dude, how'd you meet Logic? Like, you're like,
Yeah.
like that's just weird to do. But
Yeah.
like when we have you on a podcast, it's like, oh, I can ask all those questions
Yeah.
that like other people probably have. What were you like producing any music and playing shows in high school before going to college and doing this internship, or was it much more like a
the internship was like huge detail out of it that a lot of people don't know is I was doing so many shows in college. If it was an up and coming rapper that was on a blog, I was DJing that show if it was in Virginia.
and how are you finding them, or like how are you making those connections with the
I had a
people?
buddy that was a promoter and he also rapped. So he would then put himself as the opener on the show too.
Smart.
Genius.
Were there any rappers who you did stuff for back then? Where looking back, you're like, holy shit, I was DJing for this guy when he played in front of like 500 people or something.
Dude, Mac Miller's first sold out show.
It's pretty cool.
First sold out show ever. I remember specifically buying Nike shoes for that show.
Nike's on my feet.
Yeah, dude. I was like, these
Gotta
are
come
these
clean.
are
Like, I gotta
pretty
show
cool.
up
I
with-
can't show up with Vans. You know, like just young 19-year-old me. But one of the people was Miguel. I opened a show that he was on, and he was just the R&B guy that had a song with J. Cole at that point. And then he had blown up in that year, and that's why I saw while I was interning at South by Southwest. He was like, you need to come to my BET show. I went to the BET show. I saw Big Sean's DJ. who was like really nice to me when I was coming up as a older teenager DJing. And then we went to this after party and I needed to charge my phone. So I went into this like small room and we had to get there early because we were nobody. So we like got there early and knew somebody. And I go right into this room and I just sit by the outlet and plug my phone in. And I'm waiting for it to charge up and stuff. And that ends up being the VIP room. So it's like Steve Aoki comes in, Lil Jon comes in, Wiz comes in, Kendrick comes in. And then
You're just charging your phone there, like
yeah.
And no one came up to you and they were like, "Hey, wait, why are you in here again?"
No, because I was like there early enough
Yeah.
to talk to the
Where it'd
person
be-
throwing the party.
Yeah, it'd be awkward for someone else to come in and be like, "Why are you in here?" Because they don't want to be wrong. And you're
But
like,
when I walked out because Mac and Clockwork came in. I was talking to Clockwork. I walked out, and then they wouldn't let me back in, obviously, because they're looking at me like, "Come on, dude."
but you're like, my phone
You don't
charger,
want it, you know?
my
Yeah.
phone charger is in there.
That's what I did. And then somebody, like, he starts getting mad at me, and somebody pokes their head out, and he goes, "Oh, no, he was with Mac. He's fine." And I just went back in there and just plugged my phone back in. I was,
You're like, I'm not leaving
Yeah,
this
dude.
charger.
oh, man.
When you're in a room like that, are you just observing everything going on? Because
At that age, yeah.
you're not like, oh, I need to go introduce myself to these people. It's
No.
like,
Kendrick has to meet me.
Yeah. Well, I had done a show. I had done one show with Kendrick at that point. But even so, I was just so taken aback because I'm like this college kid in Virginia that had really no meaningful accomplishments outside of knowing a promoter that put me on shows. You know what I mean? So I'm just sitting there like, this is real. I could do this. And that's what it just completely flipped the switch. I was like, if that can happen that quickly within like, you know, a few days of not even knowing about this opportunity and then getting here and then being in this room, imagine what would happen if I moved to New York City. And it worked.
so you moved to New York City. Did you already have anything lined up when you, outside of like
no, just that internship.
the internship, you were just like, I'm just gonna
I
figure it out.
didn't know anybody here. I had zero friends in New York.
So how did you go from not knowing anybody to going to this internship to like, what was that within the same year you were now the DJ for Lodge? Was that all in
That
2012,
summer,
2013?
That was summer 2012.
Uh-huh.
I took the China bus down to DC. Slept in my buddy's studio, and then woke up, opened the Logic show, made friends with all them, and then the following spring break, I went out there, worked on his mixtape, Welcome to Forever, and he was like, "You should tour with us, DJ for my buddy Castro. But after this tour, would you like to be my DJ?" And I was like, "Sure." And then ended up 3 shows in, I was his DJ.
And that was like when he was still living with his family.
No, this was Bob had just been signed by Def Jam.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of his last call song where he's talking about the journey.
Yeah.
So it was like, we just signed a Def Jam and then you came in.
Pretty
right on
much.
there.
Like he had like secretly signed a Def Jam on the low, and then the following year released Welcome to Forever under them. That was like the first mixtape, and that's when I had moved to LA right after college.
That's crazy how fast your life can change in a year. Like,
Insane.
You came to New York, you don't know anybody, and then the next thing you know, it's like opportunity of a lifetime.
Dude, it didn't even like, it didn't feel that concrete then, you know, like nobody knew who
I mean,
he
it
was.
was-
Even still to this day, people will be like, "Oh, well, what have you done in music?" I was, "Oh, I DJ with a rapper named Logic," because that's just been my spiel for over a decade,
Yeah.
you know. And then other people too. My buddy's like, "You, every day I'll be talking to you about something, and you'll randomly say something, and I'll be like, I didn't know you did that," you know.
Well, I was talking to Andy and Weish before the pod, and I was like, "You're so like humble," and I feel like I gotta like pull some things out of you because you never brag about like anything you've done. It's like you have to like specifically ask you like, "Hey, about this one thing, like what'd you do?" And then it comes out. But like you're so just like down to earth and chill about it, which I've always really respected from like meeting you at the Skulls event and just talking. It's like you would never know unless you specifically ask. And I just think it's, I don't know, it's a unique, you definitely have like one of the more unique vibes when it comes to,
I appreciate that.
you know, the humility. I got to ask about crypto. How did you find,
on, let me get this.
Gotta.
yeah, get the Celsius because we got to,
This is your brother.
we got to ask about the rabbit hole and the level of degeneracy you've been up to. Because I think you have a burner.
I do have a
I don't know if
burner.
I can say that, but I just did.
Yeah, I have a burner, and I've been on that burner because I was just like,
You don't want your
I'm not gonna tweet 20 times a day during the bear to like my music audience. You know what I mean? Like, that's a little much. Yeah.
Did you make that decision consciously early on in crypto that you were like gonna split your personality in the sense that like you didn't want to feel like you were pushing crypto stuff on your music audience and you were like, I need to separate this? Or was that something that came later as like you were engaging in the space? You're like, I probably maybe need to have another account because
It was a few months in. It was like once I knew like, oh, I'm really deep here.
when did you know you were really deep? What was the moment? Like, what risky decision were you making where you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
It's like I can't explain this to any of my friends. They will not
Can't
understand.
explain this to my girl.
Remember when the airdrop meta on BSC was just a Google sheet that would go around?
Is that 2020 quarter 3 or quarter 4?
Yeah, like Q4 into Q1.
Yeah, BSC, I completely
When like
faded.
Pancake Swap was coming up and all of that.
Yeah, like right when it had launched.
I fucked up Pancake Swap so bad.
Do you have PTSD from this one?
Well, but totally different side of things. And sorry, I'll let you get back to what you're
No,
saying.
I'm very curious.
So I'm a developer. And so back at that time, I was doing a lot of stuff for like Yearn and doing a lot of like really DeFi focused stuff. And Pancake Swap was coming around and they needed help with dev stuff. And they were like, we'll pay you in cake tokens. And I was like, this sounds fucking worthless. I don't want this shit.
So it's worthless.
And at one point, I never ended up working with them. I like talked to them a bit. They were nice guys.
Yeah.
But one day I like went back and looked when Pancake
What was
Swap
my
went up.
offer?
What was my offer? And it was like $15 million at all time high to like write a couple smart contracts for them. That would have taken me like 3 weeks.
Now, would you have held it to 15?
No,
Probably
not a chance. I would have sold it instantly.
But-
But still, just knowing that on paper at one point, they would have paid me like $15 million.
So have you ever looked at any other opportunities for tokens differently since then where you're like, okay, maybe the tokens aren't going to be worthless? Or
Yes. And so like a lot of times with those, what I'll do is I'll ask for like a little bit in USDC up front or something if I don't know. Just so I can cash that out. And I'll be like, yeah, normally I would charge this much an hour or something, but if you want to give me tokens, great. But give me like $1,000. So I at least like I feel like I got something out of it.
Yeah.
And then I'll just hold the rest of the tokens and see. And it's paid off sometimes. Most of the time it doesn't pay off.
no, most of the time the tokens are worthless, but
Yeah.
sometimes you're like,
Sometimes.
So you're getting airdrops from on BSC,
BSC,
from Google
spreadsheet.
Sheets.
Well, that's when I was like, okay,
You're in.
I'm separating this. So first discovery was college because I wanted to get Ableton Live,
yes,
and obviously as a college kid,
shit's expensive.
yeah. And you got the Onion browser on your
Yeah.
computer,
I'll
and
torrent
you know
this.
a little bit about Bitcoin, but the torrent ones are always cracked, and you got so many zip files, and,
yeah.
and there's one that's corrupted, and you go down this whole chain, and it's like, damn, dude, that took
Maybe it was worth
45
just paying
hours to download on this internet.
To save like $50.
Yeah. Dude.
At the McDonald's on the Wi-Fi, downloading it. It's
Meanwhile, buying Jordan's resale for like $250 with my DJ month. I was,
you had to have Nikes on your feet, dude. You opened up for
I
Mac
did.
Miller.
I did.
How
And
are-
it was okay.
How are you not going to?
So yeah, that's how I discovered Bitcoin, and just decided I didn't want the FBI showing up at my house.
Because they were going to go after anyone who had Bitcoin.
Yeah, that was what was in the headlines. That's what the news said.
I mean, you saw Ross Ulbricht,
Yeah,
or maybe that was pre-Ross trial and stuff. But I mean,
yeah, I think it was.
they made an
'cause
example
Silk
out
Road
of it.
was still popping.
So you get some cracked Ableton software where you like
Didn't get it though. Never got. They ended up just downloading it to views, opening it. Finally got it. And then the first time that I actually bought was probably damn near the tippy top of
2017.
Litecoin. Yeah, unit buys. I was just like, well, Ethereum's a little expensive. Bitcoin's way
Those
too
were good
expensive, but
times.
Litecoin.
Litecoin was the first crypto I ever bought.
Yep, that was.
Because there's this really good narrative of just like it's cheap Bitcoin. It's kind of like Bitcoin. It's just silver to gold.
Well, and back then, like back I'm assuming it's like 2016, 2017.
2017.
There were only 3 tokens on Coinbase.
That was one of
Bitcoin,
that was the least expensive.
Ethereum, and Litecoin, and that was the cheapest.
Well, I remember they added Bitcoin Cash like 2 or 3 weeks into me trading crypto because I came in kind of toward the top too, and I didn't know what Bitcoin Cash was. I was like, "Is there another Bitcoin that no one told me about?" And then I realized, like, through Twitter, like, I think Kobe and Loomdart and people were like, "Oh, that's like Roger Ver's like scam fork."
I actually sold the top on Bitcoin Cash. I was pretty proud of that.
Did you own Bitcoin before Bitcoin Cash forked? Yeah.
Yeah, because I started buying Bitcoin in the start of 2017.
Yeah, so you had some before.
And so, not a ton. I mean, I was 6 months out of college and deeply in student loan debt. But like, basically, I was flipping Supreme drops. I was botting Supreme drops and flipping them to buy Bitcoin.
Isn't it all the same thing?
Yeah.
It's all the same thing, dude.
It
is, yeah.
I was gambling on sports, botting Supreme drops, and buying.
Did you ever
Bitcoin.
find yourself in the Discord bot world for streetwear at all?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
That
Yeah.
that was like a whole like I talked to Thread Guy a bunch about that because that's where he got into crypto was similar, like in a fucking bot Discord, cooking sneaker drops and then trying to cook trading cards and then getting into crypto later. I feel like I skipped that whole phase of the progression.
Yeah, no, I was flipping my sneakers on Craigslist.
Were you going to like the
Or-
Nike store and getting them?
I
Like,
stood in
drops?
line a few times. Yeah,
Yeah.
but usually I'd sit there. I still have like old screenshots from like missing the Yeezys.
Brutal.
You know?
Do you
There was
have-
nothing more devastating than a Yeezy drop, and like the internet's bad or something, and
You're in
miss
line.
it.
I remember.
Alarms like sleeping on my friend's couch
Yeah,
with
because they would
alarm
drop at like
set.
fucking 4 in the morning and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember
man.
there was a meeting I was in at my old job, and I was in line, and I think it was trying to get the black reflective Yeezys or like the all black pair. And we're at a round table in a meeting room, and I'm like on my phone looking at the line updating, and I'm like trying to act present in this fucking conversation, and I'm just glued to it. And then I didn't get it, so I like went to the bathroom in the middle of the meeting, probably spent 10 minutes in the bathroom trying to like get the fucking shoe, didn't get it. And it was just like, why do I care so much about this? Like I could have made like maybe $100, $200.
Yeah.
But I
Felt
was
so good,
I
though.
was way more concerned about that than my job. Like I was like, fuck my job. Like they don't care. Like I need to get these shoes. Do you have any flips that you remember being like really good? Did you hit on any like $1,000+ I don't know, Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 or like
No, see, I was pre that. I was like when they were first starting to re-release stuff, like the Concord re-release back in the day, or like
this
the
like
Black Cement
pre-sneakers?
3s. Pre what now?
The
Oh yeah,
sneakers app?
this was like pre all the
Okay.
apps, pre all those
that was
apps.
like another world for me then.
Yeah, this was what was the forum that I used to be on all the time? But they had a marketplace, and then you could go on that marketplace, and I was on like Nike Talk in high school and stuff. I didn't to the non-walkable place, like
Non-walkable hometown.
I was so excited to leave my hometown, like unbelievably ecstatic to leave I remember the first time I came to New York City, we went to some hot dog spot that's gone on St. Mark's, and I order my hot dog. I sit down, and I look up, and there's a homeless dude just peeing all over the glass door, and nobody's looking at him. And I'm looking around like,
Does anyone see this?
and,
That's piss. That's
and
his dick.
I look at the guy I was with, and I was like, I gotta move here. This
You're
guy,
like, I can
this
just piss
guy is,
wherever I want?
that was a consolation prize. Dude, this guy is peeing on the door, and nobody cares. Nobody cares.
So that
Nobody's
would be
mad,
a turn
nobody's
off to
yelling
some
at him.
people. Some
No.
people wouldn't want to
Well, I
live
was just
here.
like, this is freedom, coming from a place where like everybody knows your business, everybody knows everybody. And I'm like, yes. And that's when you go from dressing like what's acceptable in your high school into like just full-fledged whatever.
So speaking of dressing and streetwear, have you always had more of a
Ooh, excuse me.
I don't know if flamboyant's the right word, but it's like
No, that's
you have a lot of personality in the way you dress.
I'm
Have
like
you always
grandma
been
core.
like that?
Yeah. Yeah, my grandma dresses super bright.
Yeah.
So she would take me back to school shopping and be like, oh no, what about this shirt? And it'd be like something more bright. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have any of that in my family. It was all like
Coles.
graphic tees and, JC Penney, like,
Yeah.
oh, we got Dr. Pepper shirt, Sunkist shirt,
yeah.
Fruity Pebbles.
Half
like,
my shirts were like Patriots and Mets shirts, just like whatever teams my family was a fan of.
Yeah.
I had no sense of style until meeting my wife. And then she kind of like groomed isn't the right word, but like,
She helped you evolve.
yeah, she pushed me
Hell
to
of a word in
like
pop culture right now.
think,
They're the same age, everyone who's watching.
no bad grooming. But it was the first time I felt like comfortable, and it was really this space I think that made me comfortable. Like, oh, I can buy very colorful. Like, I love Killer Acid's tie-dye clothes. I love more of like just loud clothing. Like, it makes you stop and look at it. Whereas before this space, I wanted to be like wearing black on black on black, and I didn't want anyone to mess with me.
Yeah. Dude, I was like a really, really, really shy kid until probably 6th grade. I came out of my shell a little bit because I moved to a middle school where I knew nobody. So I learned that like if I wore something loud, people would come up to me and talk. I didn't have to like mingle. And I was like, oh, this is a cheat code. If I wear something crazy, somebody's going to be like, I like your jacket. And I'll be like, oh, I like this, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, so
That's smart. So you're
I
giving
think that's
yourself
why
like a social outlet without explicitly talking. You're just saying like, hey, approach me if you want.
Yeah.
I'm maybe more interesting than I appear to be.
a bit, yeah. I also got resting bitch face. So sometimes if I'm tired, dude, I look so unapproachable. So unapproachable.
But you're also like kind of tall. Like you have like a intimidating stature.
Yeah, but
I
if you're
can't.
like, oh, that guy looks like a box of crayons, I'm gonna go talk to him. You
The
know?
Creature
Yeah,
World shirt.
This, dude, I love this. And freaking,
The
you know,
online ceramics. Is that online ceramics?
yeah,
We got see that's one thing that Deez has never come on to online ceramics, but he has all the Killer Acid stuff. I'm like, dude, you gotta.
got to.
I need to get some.
It's like, yeah, it's just like niche
They're my favorite
psychedelic core.
t-shirt brand. I feel like.
Yeah, and their
brand
blanks
isn't
are
even
so
the right
good.
word.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Are they
he's wearing online ceramics too.
yeah.
Are they like? Is it super competitive where I need to like set timers? and,
No,
like,
every once in a while,
but
but
like, can I go to their site right now and
Yeah.
there's like actually stuff that's not sold out?
yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
I probably should.
They do fun like seasonal drops as well. Like when it's like Halloween, they'll have a bunch of
Yeah.
Halloween
Yeah, yeah.
stuff and like Christmas stuff.
Yeah.
It's fun.
But it's like cool. And like sometimes it's just like a picture of like a butterfly with clip art words around it, you know?
Yeah, I literally have one that's a clip art butterfly that says anarchy. And it's great. And it's tie-dye and it's fun.
I love the connection I get with the clothing from like the artists that we know, like the Killer Acid
Yeah.
stuff. I own half the NFTs that are like on the shirts, but people don't know that. Like they don't care. But like
Yeah.
part of me is like, well, I own the one. Like even the shirt I have on under this, it's a Killer Acid shirt with Dolly cats on the back. And it's like I own the 101. So I get like a kick out of wearing the clothes.
Yeah.
But
You
that's
should get a royalty on those when he sells them.
well, part of me like thinks that the sales of the clothing is like proof of the brand being worth money. It's like if he can sell 7 figures worth of his clothes, then like his art has this inherent value outside of just like, oh, I like how it looks. It's like, well, if he's selling millions of dollars worth of clothes with this art, like there's something here.
Yeah.
And
It's kind of like obey.
yeah. And how do you feel about that after like Shepherd Fairy leaves? It's like, the brand Obey, do you think of it differently like when the artist sells it? Because like if Killer Acid sold Killer Acid, I would feel differently.
Oh, 100%.
Then
That's it's you know, it's like anybody that starts a successful brand, they sell it and you can't hate them for that. It's like congratulations, like you
That's a
made
life-changing-
something from nothing. But when they move somewhere else, I'm like, even down to sports. Like I was a big Red Sox fan as a kid because I liked the team that Theo built. So when he went to the Cubs, it was the same energy, and I was like, well, I
like
like
the Cubs.
what he's done here. I don't like.
Yeah.
He's built the same kind of culture here, and Beat the Curse. You know.
There's very few instances where I feel like a smaller niche brand is able to do like the acquisition or whatever and come out of it. So like I feel like Supreme was the same thing where it's like they get bought by LVMH and it like is never the same.
like what if Ronnie sold Kith?
Yeah, it'd be a bummer.
Like, are you gonna be as big of a fan as Kith? Like, probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
And maybe
just,
he won't sell it because he likes it so much. But
Yeah, I don't think he seems like one who wouldn't sell. I don't think he
it's
has
like his
to.
baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also enjoy being very early to something and like watching it grow and be very authentic. So I think once it gets to a certain point, I'm just like, oh, this is so accessible. I wonder who's been inspired by them and move on to that, I
Yeah.
guess.
How do you find new things that are early on that adoption curve?
Having good friends,
Yeah.
you know, like
Being open-minded.
yeah, curating your in real life For You page, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I just, my friend will be like, hey, and I'm sort of that way with other people. I just have a subset of friends that are always early to certain things. And then I just trust that and I'll explore that too.
Is there anything right now that you think is early that you're excited about?
Oh God. Nothing comes to me like immediately.
Yeah.
But it might later. I'm trying to think of things that I'm into, or even just seeing like how social media consumption changes over time and the ebb and flow of things. It's honest to God. I was telling my friend this the other day. I was like, it's so funny when I look at a chart. It's like human emotion with candles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every single time. Sometimes there's a resurgence. Sometimes it dies off. Immediately after, what goes up must come down at some point, you know?
Gravity.
Yeah. And you can see that in, for better or for worse, you can see it in every sort of trend, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything for right now, though.
And so, are you still DJing regularly? Like, how much of that is still a part of your life now? Like, are you traveling a lot doing that? Or are you producing stuff at home? Or
It's been, I think less is more now. Like, I don't spread myself thin like I used to. My rule for myself post-COVID has been, if I wouldn't be there anyway, I'm not going to go DJ it. Like if I'm
like
not going to enjoy myself there. So I'll do things like I have a really good relationship with Topgolf. So if Topgolf is going to throw a big party, I'll go do Topgolf. I've also gone to a Topgolf party where they don't have a DJ because I want to be with my friends at Topgolf.
Dude, I love
those
Topgolf.
guys. And they're just, it's such a great team. It's such a great company that I love doing stuff with them. My buddy just hit me up about ThriftCon. I would be at ThriftCon anyway. I'll DJ ThriftCon, you know? So stuff like that, yeah. But like, hey, dude, do you want to? No.
You're like, absolutely not.
No. I put in the work with that. And I think it is too. I was a musician first. Like you asked before, in high school, I was the guitar kid. So I did guitar stuff. I go to open mics, whatever at a cafe. Started DJing my senior year and then started doing all like the house parties.
How many house parties do you think you've DJ'd in your life?
Oh God. A couple, I don't know. Well, you think about it though, because it's only going to be a couple times a week. I don't know, maybe a couple hundred.
Yeah. A few hundred. I
Yeah.
mean, it has to get old at some point, right? Like,
but you can only go like if you did one every night of your life
college
for like
career.
that's still like what 1,500 maybe or something.
Yeah.
Like,
So maybe a couple hundred.
it's a ton.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like
it's more house parties. than that,
700 plus hours.
Dude. And it was like at that point, that's fun. That's somewhere I wanted to be. And then you move on. I did everything that I wanted to do as a DJ.
Yeah.
So now I'm in this point where I'm like, I love doing it. So I only want to go to, because there was a point where I was burnt out and I hated it. I was like, I never want to look at these again.
How did you get through that?
COVID slapped me in the face.
Oh, yeah.
It was like,
So you're like burnout going into
you're
COVID.
choosing to not do it? Can't do it. Can't do it.
And then you realized when you were forced to not do it, you're like, oh, less is more. Like, I don't need
So
to.
what did you do for work during COVID when you're not doing stuff in person?
I just filled out Google Sheets. I'm waiting for free money to come. No, I'm just
That's
kidding.
smart.
You were on
I mean-
fucking Binance Smart Chain in the trenches, like
No, so
I learned Chinese.
Yeah, dude.
beefy finance, cow swap pancakes. Badger. Bro, they're mining.
That is one thing that I realized about DeFi is I enjoy learning it. I enjoy learning the mechanics. I enjoy all about it, everything about it. And then you get into the trenches, and no matter where you go, there's always somebody smarter than you. But it's like you started to realize, oh, the by the point that me, as somebody that's, new to this at the time, has figured out how to game this system, somebody's already fleeced me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Once you start playing like
somebody that
empty
knows
set
how to-
dollar or something,
Yeah,
you're
dude,
like,
what?
oh, it's
No.
over.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
There are guys who are botting this thing and they're cashing in the bonds and they're advancing epochs and they're not even pressing a fucking button. Their computer's just doing it all. And I'm like,
Alameda has 9 figures in this, and they're
I'm like
just
19
relentless.
tabs deep, just full red eyes.
You have all these watch.
I need breakfast. Like, dude, yeah, I learned that quickly. What were we even getting there from?
work during COVID.
Work during COVID.
Oh, work during COVID. Yeah, so I was living in a Sprinter van. I was in LA for like 2018, 2019, COVID hits. I come back to Denver, and it was at that point that I was like, oh, the Sprinter van thing's not gonna work. Can't shower at Planet Fitness. I'm screwed. So sold the van, bought a house, and that was the moment that I was like, I don't have a stream of income that I've had for 10 years.
Uh-huh.
I need to figure out how money actually works other than go, perform task, earn money,
Spend
pay
money.
taxes, spend money on expenses, keep it going. Because I've always been very frugal. So luckily I had like a nest egg saved up, did the whole house van thing. And vans were popular at the time. So I made a profit on that. And that's what I threw into the market.
Nice.
And yeah, just learned the market.
The COVID car and house market was interesting. Like how it really kind of accelerated both of those. Like there was a point in time where there were like no used cars on our local car lot.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't go buy a car.
Yeah.
You want a heart? Too bad.
Like
Go rob one.
well, there was a point in time where
I'll give you this one for 45% more than the sticker price.
Yeah.
if people
And you
would
have
be
to pay
like,
cash right now.
hey, it's available. Like I could get that.
Yeah. Also, that child is mine. Thank you.
What made you want to live in a van? Because I feel like that's a very unique approach to life that I feel like the people I talk to who want to live in a van are mostly photographers who like want to travel around the world and go visit, I don't know, all the areas on the West Coast that are nice and stay in the mountains and shit. Like what made you decide I don't need a house, I need a van?
I was living in East Village. I went on tour for my own music, opening up for Chelsea Cutler in Europe. And we hopped in a Sprinter van, and I had been doing bus tours.
Okay, so you're
eons
used to
since
tour
then.
bus.
Yeah. So we hop in this Sprinter van the first day out of the hotel, and I was like, "It's big enough to live in," you know?
Like I could do this.
Yeah. And one of the guys that I was with was like, "Oh, my buddy converted a short school bus," and at that point, one of my other friends had already converted a van, and he was living in it. And I
Okay,
was
so
like,
you had
"Oh,
some
this
friends with
this
experience.
is kind of a good idea. Like I'm never in New York anyway. Why am I paying this rent?" So it was a 2-week span. We were in Europe for a week of tour. Then I flew Europe to New York to Hawaii. I scheduled we did a show in Hawaii, and I scheduled a viewing for a van in like outside of Chicago somewhere, and then one in LA. So I flew from Hawaii to Chicago, drove up, saw a van, and it was too short for me. Flew from Chicago to LA, saw a van, bought it.
And so was it like already done inside to where it was livable, or did you have to then do a bunch of work on it?
It was mostly livable. Like he did the tedious stuff that I really didn't want to do, which was like insulation and like the bed platform and install the sink and stuff. And then I just did electrical and like true plumbing because he had like a manual pump or whatever. But I've always like I felt so cooped up in the city that I would just go to REI on Houston and walk around.
Just to feel like you were outside almost.
Yeah, just and go home and
It's
just
a big REI.
it is a big one.
Yeah.
And just watch YouTube videos and just fantasize about having space. And I was like, what better way to have space
So you
than to
bought
just...
this van in LA. Where did you drive it to? Like, where was home?
He drove it to Virginia to my parents' house.
Okay.
My dad helped me put all that stuff in.
Yeah.
And then I drove back across the country to LA. And I'd stay in Yosemite a lot.
So he drove it from LA to Virginia. Your dad put up your... You drive it all the way back to LA.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure that sucker worked.
How much did it cost to do all of like the like renovations and stuff inside of it? Like I assume you had to invest a decent amount of money into the car to do that.
Well, first off, I'm gonna take this thing off.
Yeah,
It's
It
getting
works.
hot.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it works.
It works.
It definitely works.
I have a fleece like that as well, and it's so warm. It's
Well,
basically
I've
a
been
jacket.
warm in this.
I have the first iteration
If
of
you
it
want, I
too.
can throw it over here.
with
Get
the
it out of your way.
Oh, thank you. With the striped sleeves, and it just had like some kind of wicking material on the inside, and it wasn't that warm. And then this one's like double fleece, and it is
okay, yeah.
it is nice.
So,
So the
renovate-
cost of the van, the cost of the van, to add everything that I wanted into it, which was like lithium batteries, because I wanted to set it up to be like a mobile studio.
Yeah.
of course.
I don't know, like 10K at the time,
That's
maybe.
not that bad.
No, I think I paid like 53 for it.
Like kind of all for it, and then 10K on top.
Yeah, and then I think I sold it for like 74 or something
Sick.
like that.
The pandemic was.
Yeah.
And so you were spending a lot of time living in Yosemite, you said?
I'd go up to Yosemite and stay a lot. Yeah.
Okay, I would assume there's a pretty big van community there.
Yeah, and at that time, it was just starting to pop off on YouTube. It was popping off on YouTube at such a low level. Another like it's kind of early thing, and I enjoy this to the point where I could like reach out to the influencers
Yeah.
that were already successful at it and become friends with them. So it wasn't crazy. Like you could still, van life wasn't as ubiquitous as it is now. So people weren't kind of restricting areas yet. So it'd be like, oh, there's a van there, but whatever.
Yeah. And so was it like a pretty isolated time for you doing that, or were you traveling around a lot and visiting friends and like going to different cities and seeing people?
It was like so when I got to LA, I had like broken up with who I was dating in New York. And I remember I just had like panic attacks 3 days in a row. I was like, what did I just do? Because it really was like in 2 weeks, you don't have enough time to process, like, is this the right decision?
By yourself now. In a
Yeah,
van.
I'm like parked in the court of my intern at the time's house, plugged into his house to like charge my batteries so I can go up north. And I remember calling my friend and being like, I might be an idiot. I might be an idiot. I might be an idiot. What did I do? What did I do? It's so hot. It's so hot in this van. It's so hot in this. I'm like sitting in the front seat, the AC blasting, engine on. Like, I'm stupid. This is stupid. And that's when I went up north. But it was a lot of saying yes. Like if my friends were like, hey, do you want to come do this thing? Yep. I'll leave right now. You know, like there were many times where I'd be driving to somewhere else and my friend would be like, hey, we're doing blah, 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 this place. And I'm like, I have a home. I have a toilet, you know, like as long as I can shower in your place as often as you need me to. Like I am
often as you need me to.
Yeah,
like as
dude,
long as
I
you
am
can
down.
put up with how bad I stink. Like
yeah, I can layer up, you know?
my undershirt
There's
might be a
sprays
little.
for this stuff. I think.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So eventually, you sell that into COVID. How did you meet because you're in a relationship now. I feel like you've been together for a good amount of time now.
Yeah.
How did that transition go? Like, did you meet her while you were living in the van?
No, I met her when I was 13
Oh,
at like a leadership conference. So we'd like known of each other.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we didn't really start dating until 2019.
Gotcha.
And then it was like COVID was just like, all right, you know.
Shit or get off the pot.
Yeah. Good luck. Well, that was part of getting the house too. I was like, oh, we are not going to survive in this 1-bedroom apartment in downtown Denver.
Oh, not a
with-
van either. I
No,
was curious
definitely not a
how
van
like
either.
a relationship would work in the van. That's why I was
Oh
like,
no! Well, it was great because she had the place in Colorado or in Denver, and we would just take trips, you know.
yeah.
But at a certain point, I was like, this isn't worth it, and the mortgage rates were right, so I just bought the house. But yeah,
What kind of leadership conference were you at that you met her?
it was like one of those school sanctioned like Junior National Young Leaders of America.
Nice.
And for her, she had to like raise money and come from Colorado. For me, it was just drive up to DC.
Yeah.
And I'd been to DC multiple times. So I remembered her, but I didn't remember like everything we did that week. And she was like, oh no, we passed notes the whole week. Like we sat next to each other on the bus, you know.
And you're like, yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, now that you say that, I do
I
remember.
was
that.
very
And then she got-
romantic
no,
and
you
charming.
No, you didn't. But yeah, we kept in touch. In my phone, you know how it, like updates contacts year over year.
Uh-huh.
It still has her AIM screen name.
That's funny.
So
That's old school.
yeah, AIM, MySpace, Facebook to Instagram to.
And what does she think of all the crypto stuff and all that?
When I was first like, all right, brothers, now or never, 18, 20-hour days, I just didn't come upstairs from the basement.
18, 20-hour days.
Literally just, if I'm going to do it, I might
All
as
in.
well suffer until it pays me back.
I feel like that's a theme of a lot of people we have.
Yeah.
Relentless, just like, I'm gonna get shit in my face for as long as it takes for me to see clearly.
Yes.
I don't care.
And I would read everything. And I would like, luckily I never went through a phase where like the grifter YouTube section was appealing to me. I was like,
good.
ew,
Like you were
I
automatically.
played this game in 2017. Let me get a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was not a fan then. But once I kind of found my routine, and like I was saying before, you go through everybody says 3 cycles is what it is. First one doesn't count for me. But the last one, I kind of learned this is what you're good at, this is what you're not. So that this go around, it's more like I will sit there, and obviously I watch every single day, but I'll find something that I'm like, I know what this is, and you bet bigger on that instead of being like, well, it could be this one,
this anime token, this is the one.
Finding a place where you can be happy to see other people winning on something and not be like, oh my God, I can't miss out. I have to find the next one. I have to get in on this.
Yeah.
That's hard.
It's because last cycle was like, the initial liquidity Telegram bot, and I'm like, all right, that's a great ticker. I'm getting in now.
Like there's a new
failed transaction.
The Uniswap bot that tells you when a new liquidity pool is made.
Yeah, well, I had the BSC one too.
Wasn't that? I never got into that whole BSC shitcoin stuff, but I heard it was very profitable last cycle.
It was. I mean, it's the same thing as
Yeah.
Solana now, just low fees.
Yeah.
Low fees.
Low
of
fees,
degens.
high vapor.
High vapor. Way more vapor than now. Yeah.
Trading window of 4 to 24 hours, probably
Maybe.
max.
Yeah.
Like you're not trying to go to bed in any of this.
Dude. And it's the same thing as you at work. I'd be at dinner like with friends of hers that I'm meeting, just like, I'll Venmo you. I'll Venmo you.
Yep,
I'll
Venmo you.
Yeah.
There was a time I was in a work meeting and I got a liquidation email from BitMEX that like my 10x Ripple long was liquidated. It was like $2,000 and I was just like unable to focus in the meeting. Like I just looked down at my phone and was like dead inside. Like, oh, I just lost a paycheck. Like this is not good.
Dude, and to your point about just like respecting the pump, I think there were many like smaller lessons, but the first like, I can't believe this, was I got the initial alert for GM.
I remember that.
And I kept trying to shove. Dude, I had slippage at like 50%. I didn't care. I was just like, get in there, money. Like, get in there. GM is going to work. We are like peak froth right now. Do it. Like the NFT people are going to love this and they don't know how to sell, like this is going to work. And it just never went through. And I was so frustrated that I was like, screw it, dude. It's going to die anyway. And boy, it didn't die. So I just kept calculating the whole way up.
Just what could have been. Been. I did that earlier.
I'm like,
with my
I would have
degen.
outperformed all of this.
Yeah.
You never find yourself holding though. Like you always hold the wrong one. You get the conviction in the thing that doesn't do that. And then the thing that you hold that does do that, you're selling chunks of it the whole time so that you don't have a meaningful position anyway.
Yeah, I have risk management this go around.
What do you think was, you're talking about your strengths and your weaknesses. When you think of like what you're good at, where do you think your biggest edge lies compared to like the average crypto user?
I think catching things a little bit before exit velocity. Like I'm naturally skeptical of things at first. So I've finally accepted like I'm not going to be the person that buys it immediately. I'm just not. I'm not going to be that guy because I'll sell it early.
You'll never be the guy who turns 5 Solana into 5,000 Solana.
I'm just not going to be him because
It's okay.
I don't have the risk. Like, I don't care enough to just be throwing things at the wall all the time. And I have too much risk management now to like just woo, you know.
Fuck it.
I mean, when it's a moment like that, I just size accordingly. Where it's like, if this goes to zero, it is what it is. You know, if it's a miracle, then cool. I think it really is like, even when I got my ape, which was when I was like, you know, if I'm really going to be public about this, crypto, I think NFTs make sense for what I do. And I need more NFT friends instead of DeFi friends, because the DeFi friends think NFTs are stupid.
Yeah.
But I see the cultural
It was crazy
significance.
how there's still a lot of people, like we were talking about Messi, but like that group of 20 people like that would not buy NFTs. Like they were like, why would I buy that?
Yeah.
And
Like
it's
a
why
social
wouldn't you
stance.
buy that? Like you're buying Tendy's token and anti-ample. Like why would you not buy
I
a
miss
punt?
Tendy's token. That was a good time. Do
What,
it all in
so-
VFAT tools.
Wait, when did you get the ape? You remember?
However many ETH was like 15K at the time. I think they had like gone up to
It's like five
or
ETH or
something and then dip back down. And that's when I saw like, okay, this has momentum.
Yeah.
If I'm going to actually have a voice in this space, this is the group. Because I would stalk it. Like I'd be in the Discord and like watching things going on.
Writing
And
on the bathroom wall.
My friend minted. Like my friend that held my hand through DeFi.
Yeah.
Minted them.
Did he tell you to mint them?
No, he was just like, I think these are really cool. And I had just like the crash had just happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, I am hoarding money, brother. I am not buying a freaking monkey picture. You know?
Why would I buy monkey pictures?
I was I remember in the Pleaser DAO group chat, everyone was minting them. And I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Buy a CryptoPunk. And then like, I don't remember who it was. It might have been like Leighton from Pool Together or something. He's just giving them away for free in the chat. He's like, hey, I minted a bunch of these. If anyone wants one, let me know.
Yeah.
And I'll just send it to you. And I was like, no thanks, I'm good. I was offered a free Bored Ape. I was like, nah, it's cool. I don't want it.
You spent $100 on it. I don't want to take your $100. It's probably worthless anyway. Like I don't want to feel like I owe you anything.
Yeah.
So you were smart enough to realize like that's around the time I bought 7 ETH was my first ape. And it was because Pranksy and Jimmy had sold so many. But I was like, I've been in a lot of projects at Pranksy and he always just dumps. And like it sends the floor down a lot.
Yeah.
So when I saw he minted like 1,500, I was like,
Dude, that was my issue too, was Pranksy. And then eventually, right when you bought that one, I had like started looking and I really wanted to buy one of the trippy ones.
Yes.
Because I loved that. I think the art's really cool
Yeah.
on them.
Yeah.
And I was looking, and I spent like, my problem with NFTs is when I want to buy one that isn't just like, let me sweep the floor for 10. I'm like, I spend way too much time over analyzing all the attributes and everything. And so I finally find the one that I want. And I don't remember what it was, but I like got up from my computer, came back like an hour later, and Pranksy had bought it. And I was like, fucking Pranksy. And then I didn't buy it.
you're just like, I hate this.
Yeah.
Dude, it so many times that's gotten me. But I mean, like I said with GM, I was like, screw this token. I hate this.
Yeah.
You know?
And then it ripped.
Yeah.
But now it's worth 0.
That is true. That is true. There are a lot of things
On a
that
long enough time horizon, you were right.
yes, there are a lot of things that I've sold and then they like had their blow off top right after and now they are significantly less. And I'm like, that's okay.
It's all good. I'm up. I'm up.
Yeah,
If I would have held it now, I'd be even more
dude.
pissed off.
Yeah.
What?
But yeah, that's when I got it. And
That was around the summer of Spaces too.
Yeah. Yep. I was hopping.
You were pretty active in this space. I mean, maybe not on stage, but listening for sure.
Yeah. I was definitely listening a lot. Like I said, I had always been lurking, but it was just such a tough thing. Like when I came out with the project Happy Goat, I was like, this makes sense for me.
Yes.
I'm not getting rich off of this. It's a nonprofit. It's regenerative farming. It's something that I'm passionate about. And it's a real life use case for NFTs.
Yeah, we should talk more about that.
I think that's great.
How
for
did
me.
that come up? Because I think I knew. I feel like Willie was louder on Twitter.
Yes, he was definitely the face of it, and I was more of the like in real life crypto native guy bopping around to
Gotcha.
things.
How did that come together? Because I feel like I still have all the ones I minted.
Yeah.
And they're still like 0.1 whatever. Like I don't check the price,
I have no clue how
but they
much they're
show
worth.
up on my Blur portfolio because
Yeah.
I don't normally sell a bunch of stuff, so it just shows up in the tab, and it's like they make me smile and laugh. It's like,
Yeah.
But how did that idea come up? Because you have this massive farm.
Yeah. So John Cahalan bought the farm. He bought the land during COVID, and it was going to be an electric vehicle rally park. Like you can come and get certified, whip Teslas around this rally park.
Oh shit!
And it's COVID. There's a little pushback from the city, and they were like, okay, let's delegate 300 acres to the farm. And then the farm kind of gains traction. I'm talking to Willie, and I've known Willie for a while, and he's like, what do you think if we did NFT goats? And we're like, that'd be funny. And then we started thinking about it, and he was like, if we want to make this publicly accessible, but the only way that we can do it legally is by selling a membership in this way. What do you think about that? I was like, I think it'd be great. I think it'd be a great example of how you can use this in a practical way in the middle of all this froth. That's there was so many.
I mean,
PFP
everybody
projects.
was releasing a new 10K PFP. They were promising the world. You were going to sleep with supermodels on yachts, like drive Lambos and fly private jets.
Very pre-rich. Very pre-rich.
And then you come out and we're like, hey, we're doing like a regenerative farm. And you're like, well, we could actually do something here that isn't just like we're promising you something you're never going to get in the future.
Yeah. So, which, arguably in crypto is the worst thing you could do is deliver. Like, never deliver.
To do
It's so
exactly what you said you were going to do from the onset.
There was nothing like being in the trenches of Telegram. Dev is dead. Dev is died. You're like, yeah, bullish, let's go.
Oh, the dev just dumped the token 80%. We need to buy this. This is historical. Like we can, the community can.
Now it's community takeover. Yeah,
dude, think of the lore. Like,
but yeah, so we did that, and it's going well. It's just obviously it's a slower process. So people are like, oh, when are we gonna do this, and this? And it's like, well, farm to table restaurants open now. We're doing one on the farm. It's just there are a lot of city and county rules that you have to deal with.
And it's out in Wyoming?
It's in California. It's near Yosemite. Yep, Mariposa, California.
Nice.
45 minutes south. So for me, my involvement was the NFT side and operations.
I mean, the operations is the part that I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Well, I'm just like, I don't know anything about this. I'm down to help with this, and it ended up being such a great experience.
Yeah.
I went into it knowing absolutely nothing about farming, and now I've learned so much about the earth and so much about how meaningful it is to have a regenerative farm. And it's been
So what does that mean to be a regenerative farm?
So with that farming, farming is in America is so wasteful. So regenerative farming has much more restrictive rules to regenerate the soil quality.
Okay.
So it's like when you're getting organic foods from there, it's not like farming for capital. Like it's obviously it's a nonprofit. Even the goats, we're not selling the cashmere,
Yeah.
But yeah.
So it's like farming is traditionally wasteful with what, like a lot of water waste? Is it a lot
of everything waste? It's
like ripping all the nutrients from the soil.
Yeah, ripping the nutrients from the soil. That's Nina, my girlfriend, could tell you so much more about that side of it.
I took one animal science class in college, and it put a whole new perspective in my head of like how a farm works. Because the guy who taught the class was like a 60-year-old lifelong farmer, and I was just like, oh, like there's a lot that goes into this. Like, I mean, obviously, like you.
I was just always like, oh, organic food, cool. Yep, that's the one. That's good. And she's like, oh no, the nutrients are taken away, and it's bad soil, and that's how blah 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 gets in all these different plants, and that's how people are getting this disease. And with regenerative farming, it's like you're replenishing the nutrients in the soil, and you're actually getting whatever's happening natively in the space. And
I think that stuff is really cool.
Yeah, it's cool from like I'm never going to be a farmer, but I like to be aware of like how that process happens.
Well, I think it's like interesting to think about too from like a perspective of, thousands of years ago, how would people have lived here and provided for themselves long term, and not just like, done it to sell a bunch of crops to some large conglomerate. Like I don't have very much experience with any of this stuff, but like on our honeymoon, we went and saw like a biodynamic winery where like they do everything for the wine that they make, like in the farm. And so they had like pigs to make the fertilizer, and they showed us like the bins of worms that they had to do stuff. And, like, that stuff's really cool.
Yeah.
It's like, it was very interesting to learn about. And they were explaining kind of similar things of how a lot of wineries do waste a ton of water, and they like kill soil and do all this stuff.
Yeah,
And
it's like a self-replenishing ecosystem, how it should be. It just takes a lot more work to make it happen, and it's not as fast. Like, there are a lot of natural processes that don't happen as quickly. And like I said, like, I learned with people in the process. So I'm like asking Willie, like, so what is that? Like, what? And or like the head shepherdess, like I only got to go visit the farm once, and I was like, so how does this and this work? Like, oh, water rights and mineral rights, and all these things that I was just blissfully unaware.
It makes you appreciate what you eat more too. Like, I think.
Oh yeah.
We have a couple places in Columbus that are like farm to table, and they show you, at least these restaurants, like all the different farms in Ohio that they source from.
Yeah.
It's like when you go in, like on the menu, it'll tell you like, I don't know, 20 different farms where they get their stuff from. It makes you feel better eating there because you're like, okay, well, I know this came from like a farm in Ohio that's close by.
Yeah.
And not just like, oh, I went to Giant Eagle and bought meat. I don't know where that's from.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine, but like the farm to table stuff, like when you eat it, it feels better.
Yeah.
And it's something I've only cared about ever since like making money in crypto. Before, it was like, I'm gonna eat McDonald's because it's cheap. And then it's like, once you have money, you're like, okay, like I can like make a conscious decision to like eat some healthy stuff that is grown around me and not sprayed with pesticides and not just like Monsanto seeds that have been genetically modified to be the beefiest, hardiest fucking super produce to ever exist.
Yeah.
Especially tomatoes. Tomatoes are the thing that I notice a big difference with. Like, you eat a fucking good local tomato, it's
so good.
It's not even close.
It tastes like a different food.
Yeah. It's not that freaking pinky, nasty, slimy circle on your fast food sandwich,
No.
It's like this big juice. I could just bite into one.
Yeah, I didn't know this till like moving to Columbus and getting money. It was like we were going to, I guess like just those family farms that have like a little barn that's like, hey, come in and get some fresh raspberries, fresh tomatoes, fresh pie. And it's like they have like 6 things. And it's like whatever is in season is like what you can
And
get.
it all's amazing.
It's all amazing. Like, there's stuff I would never eat. And then I go there and it's like, oh, rhubarb is in season? Like, oh, how,
Rhubarb is fucking awesome.
How can we
Good
make
strawberry rhubarb pie?
yeah,
or
like how
something?
can we do something like that? Whereas like I would never eat rhubarb.
Yeah.
And I'm not like a peach person, but when they
I
had
love a good
peaches
peach.
and they're in season, it's like I'll eat fucking peaches every day.
Let's make grilled peaches or something like
Dude,
that.
grilled pineapple,
Grilled pineapple
changed
is-
my fucking life.
Grilled pineapple's good, yeah.
I thought I didn't like pineapple.
Really?
Like, cause
Just because like so
I
acidic?
grew up and my version of pineapple was like a dull fruit cup
Like the canned or
emptied on a pizza. And then it's like, oh, you don't like pineapple on pizza? And it's like, well, no, I didn't like a dull fruit cup on my pizza, and I didn't want to eat that elsewhere. And then once I had like fresh pineapple, I was like, holy shit, like this is really good.
Yeah.
Like Jess now cuts pineapple up for me. Like, we get a full
get a
pineapple.
little snack in the
Yeah, oh
afternoon.
yeah. That's my shit now. But like growing up, it was like, oh, if I don't like the canned version of this, like it's trash.
Yeah.
And then you get older and you're like, wow, all the fresh shit. Like, maybe there's a reason we have a season, and maybe we should like appreciate when it is peach season. And maybe we don't need to eat peaches 12 months out of the year. Like, maybe if we just eat peaches in August, that's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And
not to go down the food rabbit hole.
No, but I'm the exact same way where I was like, not to that, like I like different things just from living in the city, but I didn't really think about the process behind it until the farm. That's why I'm very careful about how I explain the processes, because I'm like, I'm still learning that too. And I don't want to be like, this is what it is. and somebody's, that's completely wrong. That's, you know,
Yeah.
I know the gist,
you
and I
seen
know
Food,
the
Inc.?
importance. What'd you say?
Have you seen the documentary Food Inc.?
No.
I think it's on Netflix. That's one where you watch it and like you don't really want to eat fast food, but then a week later you're like,
Taco Bell sounds great.
T-Bell's the only one that I do. Well, Chick-fil-A, but does Chick-fil-A count?
yeah,
That's Jesus's fast food. I think
That's
it's
fine.
different.
Yeah,
it's different. What's your
that's-
go-to order from Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A, I'm usually overpaying on DoorDash, to be honest. I will get the Southwest salad,
Okay,
then a spicy chicken sandwich with fries.
nice. What sauce?
Chick-fil-A sauce.
What about from Taco Bell? Taco Bell's by far my favorite fast food.
Andy loves Taco
I
Bell.
fucking love
Andy
Taco
will
Bell.
order 6 pounds of Taco Bell.
Crunchwrap Supreme, 5-layer burrito, chicken quesadilla.
Oh, wow.
Diablo on fire.
Nice.
All Diablo fire.
Yes, and every time I have the same corny line. I say, give me as much as you're legally allowed to do. And I have a gallon bag
At home.
in my pantry full of fire and Diablo just in case
Yeah.
it's somebody there or on DoorDash and they're just like, nah, and throw a bunch of mild in there.
Dude, a lot of times I order, I mean, not a lot. I probably order Taco Bell from DoorDash 6 times a year, max. 3 of those 6 times, they don't give me any sauce. No
Yes.
matter how much.
That's why you got to keep the bag.
You just smash that button
Yeah.
and it shows in your DoorDash order that you're ordering like 57 things, but
Yeah.
52 of them
Yeah.
are sauce.
Yeah. I put 15 on each of them. I can go to my DoorDash right now and
Oh, I
it's just like
believe you.
reorder,
Have you
reorder.
tried the new
No new items yet.
crispy, the chicken crispinata? It's fucking insane. So my go-to is always the crunch or the cheesy gordita crunch.
Yeah.
That's like
That's a good one.
that's my favorite
That's-
Taco
that's-
Bell.
Do you get a
item.
Dorito shell with it?
I like the Dorito shell. Like my favorite was when they had the Cool Ranch Dorito shell.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Now that's harder to find. A lot of places don't have the Cool Ranch anymore. But this
some
new
little red
chicken,
40 flakes on there. Yeah.
oh yeah,
Oh,
the new
Red
chicken
40?
crispinata is really good. It comes
Yeah.
with like a spicy mayo to dip it in. It's
That
very
sounds good.
different from a lot of stuff on the menu, but I was pretty taken aback by how good it was.
I'll do it when I get home to Denver.
I'd highly recommend it.
Being here, like I have to eat good
Yeah,
food.
yeah,
You know,
that's fair.
But
What's your
sometimes-
favorite place to hit when you come to the city?
Dude, honestly, just nostalgia factor. I gotta get a dollar slice. I gotta hit 2 bros every
Really?
time. Every time I gotta hit 2 bros.
I have PTSD from a dollar slice from like 2 NFT NYCs. Like I got like food poisoning, I think at 2 a.m.
Where was it though?
Dude, it was somewhere near Times Square. It was not
that's
good.
the-
It was
yeah.
not good.
That's
It-
like being like, oh, I'll never have, halal food in the city. And it's like, well, where'd you get it?
cart.
I don't know, some corner.
Outside
Like,
your-
no, you gotta
no,
go to the right ones. Yeah.
this was like a desperate, like 2 a.m. You're really drunk. You need something. You kind of feel like
Yeah.
you're going to throw up.
Yeah.
And then eating it made me throw up. It was
It
like,
made you actually.
Yeah.
it was not what we needed.
Yeah.
It was like no crisp on the bottom at all. It was like they
Yeah,
took
no.
a frozen Tony's and threw it in the microwave.
Oh, God. No, but that's the deal too, is you can ask him to heat it up. You can
You
ask him
have to
not
get it
heat
heated up, right?
You can ask him, can you crisp it a little bit? Yeah, whatever.
I mean,
you
how
want.
much bacteria has been growing on that pizza?
My immune system, when I was in New York City, I would take the train, go get a bagel, eat it raw dog hands.
Yeah,
My
after
immune system
touching
was
after
top
touching
tier.
the rail that
After
the guy pissing
holding-
on the window just touched, after he touched his dick, you holding the rail, go get a bagel.
Brother, that is
Just adds flavor.
that is interpersonal regenerative farming right there, brother. That's what that is. That is being one with your ecosystem that you're around. And my immune system was great. You know how like they say to have local honey to help with your allergies?
Yeah, I do that.
That's me.
the
Local.
local honey's the Subway pulse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
It's got the same consistency, let's be honest.
So outside of licking the poles on the Subway, is there anything else that you really
I
miss?
didn't lick them, but you know,
Is there anything else you really miss
Secondhand
about
lick.
the city?
everything. I really do. Everything except winter. Hated winter here. I love the people. It's like I was saying before. I love New York City because everybody that's coming here knows what they're getting into. Nobody's coming here thinking that the city's going to give them anything. They feel like they got to come here and earn it. And from I told you my origin story of here. Like that's why I love it, is because everybody's like, mind your own business. Everybody is kind and not nice. What you see is what you get in New York City.
The opposite of LA.
Yeah,
In a lot of ways.
And the thing about LA too is I think LA, once you've established a friend group in LA, is phenomenal. Like I totally get why the taxes are so high.
But if you just show up,
if you're showing up, it's usually in like coming up. When I first moved there, going on tour, you're trying to make it in this industry, and it's like the theme is everybody that thought they were too good for their hometown moved to LA.
and then they realized.
And then you realize like I'm really not popping, and you go back.
I'm actually not shit.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Whereas everybody that moves here is like, I'm trying to hustle and this is where I'm trying to go. Like I mean, and like I said, I love LA now. Hated LA when I was early 20s just because that was all I could see.
Do you have any other cities in New York or any other cities in the country that you like a lot?
I love all 5 cities in New York.
I love Brooklyn.
Even Long Island.
Any other cities I like? I like Denver. I've been to all 50 states.
I guess when you live in a van, that becomes a lot easier, right?
Well,
Touring.
Touring.
Yeah.
Touring. All I had left was Montana, and I think that was it.
When did you cross Montana off the list?
COVID. We went up to Glacier National Park, and half of it was closed. I was like, dang. Well, all right.
Perfect.
At least I saw it. Yeah.
Off the list.
Yeah.
All right.
Never, not going back to Montana anytime
No, I
soon?
did. I went up for a wedding, but that was it. I don't know, dude. Like,
What's your favorite?
I like the Bay. I like the Bay. Oh, Chicago. I do like Chicago.
I wish that the people in the Bay were more likable.
I only know like most of my Bay friends are like real Bay friends or like Oakland friends.
Okay.
And I don't know I don't know the tech side of the Bay. I know like the hyphy side of the Bay.
I only know the Texas.
Yeah.
The crypto side. It's like
Yeah.
second Williamsburg out there, but not
But more VC and
less based.
yeah.
Well, maybe more based, but less based.
Shout out Base God.
Based is just getting thrown everywhere now. Everything's based.
Dude.
I took a shit. It was based. Like it was just.
Oh, speaking of,
Speaking of shit.
how bad would this mess you up if I went and peed right now?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Go pee.
I'm like sitting here like this,
Oh no.
acting like this caffeine isn't running straight through me.
No, dude. I've shit myself on pods before. No.
You ever just have to pee so bad that
It's the most relieving.
It's like interrupting your thoughts.
Yeah, and then you do pee and you feel like literally a different person.
I feel like a different. Ask me anything you want now, brother.
Get some
Open
coconut
book
water
now.
in. Replenish.
Oh my god! I already had an Americano this morning. That's how tired I am.
So you're feeling you have 500 plus milligrams of caffeine going through your body now after the Celsius and the Americano.
Wait, how many milligrams of caffeine?
We're running to
I
this
think
dinner
there's
tonight.
300 in Celsius.
200.
200?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's like 3 coffees.
Is that 3 coffees?
I think it
Coffee's like
depends on
80.
the size of the coffee too.
Yeah.
Like I think if you're getting a cold brew, if you're getting like a large
Cold brew's
cold
gonna be
brew,
heavy.
that's probably like a Celsius, probably like 200.
I rarely have coffee. I actually quit caffeine until I got a puppy. So
Waking up early and having to take Rupert out.
yeah.
What made you get a dog?
I've always wanted one.
Yeah.
Always
kind of
wanted a
dog do you have?
Bernese Mountain Dog.
Oh, nice.
Always. I grew up with dogs. I loved my dogs. Loved my dogs. And I'd always fantasized about having a Bernese Mountain Dog because I felt like, oh, this is the easiest dog to bring around people. And if I need to travel a little bit, they're really easy to travel with. They can be lazy, but they can also be active. And he has been everything and more.
So did you grow
love
up
that
with a
dog.
Burmese that made you want one? Or were you just like a fan of dogs and you knew that this breed in particular
Yeah.
was the demeanor that was kind of your vibe?
Yeah, a fan of dogs, and I knew that demeanor would work for us. We always had mutts growing up, and at each one of we adopted them. They all came with their own
Baggage,
problems. Yeah. And excuse me, I just knew for what I do and how often I'm out and doing things, I needed a dog that had a certain temperament. And I needed to have that dog since it was 8 weeks
A
old.
pup.
Well,
Yeah.
there's also just such a, I think it's amazing to adopt dogs and all of that, but like there is something really special about fostering a relationship with an animal from such a young age. Like I feel like that connection you get is just
It's
different
insane. It's
than,
insane.
than anything else.
And my parents were like, I know you loved your dogs growing up, but this is going to be different. And for us, we tried to adopt from, just a large dog. We were looking at Daneves for a little bit.
Oh, you were down for anything. You weren't even like, it has to be this.
And we really tried to adopt Berners. And every time we applied, we wouldn't even get an answer because we were in that 1-bedroom apartment. even though there was a park near us, it's like, well, there were better options than you. And then we found him. He was a leftover of a double litter in Minnesota.
What's a double litter?
The breeder had 2 litters at the same time.
Okay.
So they just didn't have enough people
It's a lot
waiting.
of product to move.
Yeah, it's a lot of product.
They were
to move.
oversupplying the mint.
Yeah, there was a little bit of shake left over if you wanted a discount.
$30 an ounce.
It was the same price. It may have been $100 more than what the adoption cost was from that other company. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And Nina flew out during COVID to Minnesota, picked him up on the 8-week day, and brought him back to my parents.
Did she fly
Yeah, she
on that
flew.
8-week day?
What'd you say?
Did she fly with him?
Yep, flew in, rented a car, drove an hour from the airport, picked him up, drove back to the airport, got on a plane, came home.
And he's been a good travel dog ever since.
Yeah.
Does he have one of those like service vests where he could?
Yeah. So I was on an American Airlines flight that had an emergency landing, and I was the exit row person. So I was just like, this is my... And when we get on the airplane, he walks in with me, puts both of his paws during takeoff on my lap, and just has his face in my face. And then once we're up in the air, he gets down, lays down, like eats the snacks and stuff. And then when we're landing, he pops back up.
And he's good with it.
Good to go. Yeah, he's chilling.
Dude, I've seen people who get their dogs and their cats early on and they travel with them. And it's like, we could never do that with our cat now. He's done.
Yeah.
He's scared to go outside. Like,
Really?
You can leave the door open. He won't go out. He'll look, but he'll sit in the doorway. Like, he will not step off the porch.
That's
Really?
how Lola is. So we have 2 cats. I don't know if they've been around, so you haven't seen them.
One's been sleeping in there.
that's Larry.
So that's Larry. He's the
Larry.
They're brother and sister. And so Lola, she's probably in the office of my wife. She's obsessed with my wife.
She's our secretary.
Her secretary and her baby all at once. But so she's afraid to go outside.
Yeah.
Larry is like very interested by the outdoors, but they've always been city cats. But, like they'll go to like my like parent-in-laws and like see the outside because they live in Connecticut. And so like a couple times Larry has run out the hallway door and he'll get like halfway down the hallway.
He's
and
like,
he'll kind of
"Fuck.
stop and be like, what the fuck's going on? Like,
What am I doing?
and then he'll like jump and be like, oh my God, and then just sprint back inside.
Yeah.
But I think we were saying for this summer, I want to get like one of those cat strollers and like bring around outside. I think he'd like it.
Jess
Oh,
wants to
yeah.
do that. Jess wants either a stroller or a backpack.
Or like a little cat pack. Just sat
Yeah,
right
they
there.
have like a little, it has a vent and it has like a clear plastic.
Oh, the bubble? Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen those on the train.
Like the little meerkat things you'd see at the zoo.
Yeah.
I'm like, I still have a hard time like with my self-esteem. Like, I don't want to be the guy going around our neighborhood pushing his cat in a stroller. Like, I
think I'm ready to be that guy.
I
think
don't think I'm
bought
there
in.
yet. Like,
I would take it a step further and get a t-shirt printed of a picture of me in my neighborhood with the cat in the stroller. So it's
Just wear
just
that as
like,
you walk around.
there's the guy with the cat in the stroller with the t-shirt with him with the
that'd
cat
be a
in the
sick
stroller.
tie-dye shirt. Like, that feels like an online ceramic shirt.
100%. dude.
Clip art of a guy with a cat in a stroller.
But it's like the heads are reversed on one of them like that.
You're in the stroller and the
Yeah,
cat's
Because
pushing
really
you.
on
the
the
cat
cat
pushes
body.
him.
Yes, with the cat. Honestly, I'm surprised it's not a salon
kinda
meme
want that
coin at this
shirt now.
point.
I think we can make it happen. Should
Cat-
we pull
cat
up
with
Pumps Out-
stroller.
Let's pull up Pumps Out Fun
Oh,
right
dude.
now. and-
Oh no!
Are you in the pump.fun streets?
I got rugged on one today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Slav cat.
Jesus Christ! dude.
I mean, I put
Have
it
you
like
seen this
0.2.
website?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's addicting.
What's nuts? What's crazy too? And I'm like, I think a lot of people are overthinking a lot of this run and calling cops
Yeah.
so quickly. Is like it is so accessible now, and the information is all right in front of you. Like, you don't have to go into the contract and be like, okay, this is safe. I saw it. Like, it's all right. It's right there, like next to the
Dex
chart.
screener report
Yeah,
that tells
dude.
you
Yeah,
it's
you
not
see
a honey pot.
Dev owns 12%. And then you go, oh, now Dev owns 0%. What happened? That's crazy.
Oh, Dev died, but he sold right before he died.
Like, it's all, I'm like, of course, dude. Like, of course this is quick. Or just the sites that'll create a coin for you, or the abundance of information on YouTube on how to like game these things. It's all there now. Whereas people used to have an edge. I mean, centralized exchange leaders had an edge and they exploited it. You know what I mean? So
the
it's just a different run this time. That's why people are going straight to that.
Are you because you were talking about how you wait for something to, like, you're able to get there before the velocity picks up, but you wait to see it, actually pick up before going in.
Yeah.
Like, I'm assuming you're not on pump.fun, just like, oh, this 20K is going to go live and we're going to get an exit. And like this.
It's the same way to like with leverage trading where it's like like when I was hanging out with you and I was like, oh shit, a little flash dump. I'm going to long it here. Just like.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
Yeah. Sometimes I want to ride that high. Like I don't go to casinos. I don't like, this is the only.
I won't put any money. Like even when we were at the Bahamar.
I love casinos.
We were there in the Bahamas.
And you wouldn't even accept a free Bored Ape?
I mean, I'm a little stupid.
He likes casinos. But
that's what got us all here, brother.
What kind of going in another direction? What's your favorite venue to do a live show at in the US or in the world? Maybe not the US.
MSG or Red Rocks?
Yeah.
MSG just because like the first time we did MSG, I was living in the city and I like went home, slept in my apartment, showered, took the train to Penn Station and walked in that way. And
that's like, a lot different than.
Yeah, I was like, damn, this is so sick.
Yeah.
And then the second time we did MSG, I got to do my own song at MSG. And I was like, well, there it is.
Can you like close your eyes and kind of put yourself back in that moment still?
I honestly, I feel like I'd have to like, that's why I loved how much that I like filmed during that time is because I take videos of stuff every day. But I just quit posting online for the past few years.
But you still have all your stuff for yourself.
Yeah, right. So like if I watch a video, I can feel it again.
Yeah.
And like in times of, self-doubt and whatnot.
You got to put yourself back.
Yeah. I'll be like,
I was there.
I did that.
I did that.
I did that. Like, get your confidence back up, brother.
Yeah.
You do this.
I feel that way with crypto. Like the last run, I have some pictures, but like I feel like I forget a lot of it. Or like your mindset shifts, like you said. Like I was so confident in things I was doing 3 years ago that I'm like not confident in today.
Dude, that's why I started my alt too, is I was like, I'm not going to tell anybody what this is. It's mostly going to be so that I can go back and when I, inevitably have a bad loss, I can go back and be like, oh no, your hit rate was insane from here to here. You're like not proof. Bad, dude. This is just like statistically speaking, this is going to happen.
It's part of the risk we take.
Yeah.
It's like, what you're getting into, it can go badly. You think it's going to do well, but like if it goes badly, you have to tell yourself like maybe my process was still not bad. Like the result wasn't great, but like my process of how I arrived there, it's like, well, maybe, you kept your risk managed and you didn't lose more than you could afford to lose. That's kind of a win in its own right sometimes. Maybe it was like you mismanaged the trade and you, I don't know, sold too early like I do all the time. But you can at least go back and be like, well, I had the right idea. Like I was there and I had the thing and like I just had to hold it a little longer. But I had the right idea. It's like I was 95% of the way there.
Yeah.
I'm not that stupid.
Yeah.
But I was going through this over the last week of like, dude, I might not never make another trade again. And then like 2 days later, it's like, oh, MFer? Like, oh, we're in this shit. Like, it's like, I got to make it back. And it's tough to, like the confidence I had in 2021 when NFTs, like we're just printing money. I don't know if I'll ever be that confident about anything ever again. It was just like, this is going to go on forever. Everything I buy is going to turn to gold. And like, I cannot miss.
For a while, that was true.
For like 3 months.
Yeah.
And
I feel like that the top of that for me was Azuki. When Azuki
beans,
dropped,
the 2 ETH beans.
Yeah, like Azuki dropped like first, and then it was like 1 ETH. And I remember you and I were messaging, and I'm like, I'm gonna buy some of these. I missed the mint, but I'm gonna buy some.
Yeah.
And then like a few weeks later, they're at like 10 ETH, and you're like, holy shit, I'm a genius. And then the beans drop, and you're like, I just got my cost basis back for these Azukis in a derivative.
The beans were like over 5 ETH.
Yeah, and I had a fucking gold bean, and I didn't sell it for like 30 ETH when I could have.
I forgot about the bean airdrop, dude. The beans were worth more than we paid. Wow.
Yeah.
Fuck. And I don't.
Dude, we're gonna make it all back on Anime Chain.
I'm the type where I don't sell those airdrops, like the artifact monoliths.
Yeah.
They were like 10 plus ETH for the box, and I was like, well, clearly they're gonna give us more free stuff.
Yeah.
that's going to be worth more. And then once that second monolith box came out, it was very clear that like, yo, they don't know what they're really doing, and I don't know what they're doing. But if they do this again, this is fucked.
And
Yeah.
apparently Nike didn't know what they were doing too.
Oh, dude, I've learned a lot about like giving credibility to big Web 2 brands when they enter the space, but like it's not credibility I maybe should have given them as much. It was like, I think of like Starbucks, because I think they just recently closed down their Odyssey program. Like I thought what they were doing was interesting. Nike was a big one where it was like, oh, Nike must know. Like
Yeah.
Nike doesn't acquire brands.
Yeah.
Well, but then I went back and started doing research of like, okay, what brands has Nike acquired that have been losses? And it's like there's like Starter in the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Like they bought that and it failed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there was like, oh, there's like other, like Nike has not just only ever bought Converse and Jordan.
Yeah.
And it's like they've had things that have failed.
Yeah.
But in the bull market, it was like, dude, if Nike's buying this is like if God, like,
This is like if God came down,
Right?
and anointed one project to be the
Like-
best of them. Yeah.
and then the Murakami stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say with Murakami, I
But
was
the,
like,
the
oh,
crazy thing about Murakami was he put 10 million or so, maybe more, of his own profit back into clones. Like Murakami has a lot of the highest ever clone buys. Like he was buying the clones.
He got rugged by Nike. That's crazy.
He was buying his own clones. So it made me feel like, oh, this is super good. Like if the artist who's worth, I don't know what Murakami's worth, but
He's doing all right, I think.
Yeah.
Probably.
and then I learned like he might have financial problems. And it's like, oh, well, like the guy who's buying his own NFTs for like $10 million might be in financial problems. Okay, that might make sense. Anyway, I could be completely speculating. Maybe I have to cut that part. I don't know. I don't want to just go out and say that. But like,
Speaking of artist people, have there
all I got to do is drop Clone tomorrow and make it all back, brother.
Yeah, there you go. Have you had any like artists or musicians that you've worked with who knew that you were into crypto stuff reach out and be like, hey, either want to learn about this or like I want
Oh
to make
yeah, I
an
knew
NFT?
it was the top then. I knew we were getting close. I knew we were getting close when I was like, ooh, we haven't had a session in a couple of years. And that was part of like the first public whatever I made in the Web3 space, crypto space, was when I changed my profile to an ape, my PFP to an ape. And it was when they started getting headlines that people would like reach out. But I also had you know, like I had a call with D from Run DMC because somebody had pitched him on doing like a Run DMC NFT, and I was like, I think you're right. I think you shouldn't be doing this if Aerosmith isn't doing this. You know, because he was like, you know, they told us we can do this, this, and this, but I'm like, Aerosmith needs to be doing an NFT if we're doing an NFT. And I'm like, you're damn right. Like Run DMC is a huge brand. Like, unless you really need something, and if you really need something, you got to do it in like a tasteful, constructive way that makes sense, not just like, here's Run DMC, let's send us money, you know?
That fucked
was
up my perception of people. Like Eminem and Deadmau5, I'll never look at the same because they dropped those nifty Gateway Open editions and left.
Yeah.
And it was like, it kind of felt exploitive in the sense that everyone knows who Eminem is. Everyone knows who Deadmau5 is. Like, what is the point?
I wonder for those in particular.
I'm also like, they might not even know.
That's what I was going to say is I think there's a
About
good
that,
chance that
you
like
know?
basically someone from Nifty Gateway got in contact with their manager and they were like, hey, you can make $1 million.
I would believe it for
me rock.
Eminem.
With like a digital collectible.
Like, I definitely
you know?
would believe that for him. I don't believe it for Deadmau5 because he was like trolling on his Instagram and like shitting on NFTs and like shitting on crypto.
Yeah.
And then like 2 months later, it's like he's doing an open-ish on Nifty Gateway.
Yeah, no clue.
Where I still like listen to his music. But then on the flip side, it's like I met Marshmello through NFTs.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I would have never had the opportunity to talk to him. But
Yeah.
since he was into punks and we were into punks, I was like, talk to him in DMs. And it was like, I listen to his music and feel differently on the positive side.
Yeah.
Whereas like I listened to, I don't know, fucking Strobe or something by Ghost Mouse. And I'm like, fuck, like or Dead Mouse, and I remember that. I was gonna say Ghosts and stuff, but I remember that fucking open edition. And it like tainted my perception of his music.
I mean, you have like if you're getting a punk, you're really about the space. You know what I mean? Or like I was hanging out with Banks in East Denver, and he was like, I'm really about this stuff. Like I'm out here, we're going to the events. Like I'm tired, we're going to the events. I'm really about this. Like if I'm gonna be online talking about this and I'm not out here,
in the
that's
trenches.
not authentic.
Yeah.
I'm part like this is what I am passionate about. You know, and I'm like, I respect that. You know?
And then he just made that big trade. He traded
with Kalish
6 or 7 punks for the zombie.
Yeah.
Which I thought he had the better end of the trade. I haven't seen Kalish actually sell any of the ones that he got, so I don't know.
I think DraftKings stock's doing pretty well. I think Kalish is chilling.
Yeah. So we need more people like that. Like last cycle, when they came in, I thought that was like a top sign. But it went pretty far after they came in. Like I didn't realize like
But they also haven't left too. Like we're in that punks chat with a bunch of those guys and they're still around. They're talking about shit. Like Mike McDonald's
they
still analyzing
like
the market.
punks. Like I fuck with them really hard because like they still look at their punks and like them and they don't really care. I mean, we joke about the price and they're like, maybe it won't come back. But like I genuinely think the people in there just like the fucking punk.
Yeah.
And someone like Kalish, it's like his punks could go to 0 and he's not probably going to care.
No, I don't think you would care.
But then when they're buying things, I hope they don't listen to this. When they're buying things like Tom Sachs rockets for like 50 plus ETH.
Or the Dead Fellas one, like the rarest Dead Fella.
Dude, not even the Dead Fella. Remember that spooky ghost project that came out? They're like firing off like 50 ETH into like 3D Halloween silhouettes and shit. Like, it was hard for me to discern. Like,
you said who was?
Like just like
a lot of the guys who came over from like the poker and daily
like people who are worth like
I think that is though. I think that is like that's the capital equivalent for them of us firing off into shitters when we first started. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just unfortunately they're doing it publicly at like a value that you're like,
how?
You know, but they're, you know, you learn.
You're like looking, you're like, oh, Kalish just sold 15 million of DraftKings stock. And then like a week later, it's like, did he just buy $10 million worth of punks? Like,
yeah. You go and you look at the DraftKings market cap and you're like, I understand why he's doing this. And then he's posting pictures of him sitting courtside at Celtics games. And he's like, this is great. I love crypto. Go Celtics.
Yeah. And then there was the other guy, like I don't even know if I could say that. One of the guys who owns the Alien. You're like,
well, not anymore.
The other one, I don't know if we'll cut this.
Oh yeah,
he still has his. Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude's worth.
I forgot about him.
Well over $1 billion just from DraftKings stock.
Yeah, he's just yeah. We'll probably have to cut some of this, but it's funny. We can cut around it. So we can cut his name and stuff. But basically, this guy, he's not from America, and so remember the punk sale that happened. Not the Christie's one, but the Sotheby's punks auction that went for like way above what everyone thought it was. Like the auction was happening and then someone just like aped it.
Yes.
So the origin story of that is we were in a group chat where this guy gets added and no one has any idea who the fuck he is. He gets added by one of the other guys in the chat. And this is like it is serious high roller, like sports betting, poker player guys. Like we have no business.
We are the poorest people in the chat by an order of magnitude.
Yes.
And so he gets added to this chat and he's like, hey guys, been learning about CryptoPunks. I think they're really cool. I want to buy the rarest CryptoPunk. And everyone's like, oh yeah, sure, dude. Sure, you want to buy the rarest CryptoPunk. And he's like, no, I'm serious. Like, how much do you think the rarest CryptoPunk is going to cost? And they were like, okay, probably 8 figures, probably like $15 to $20 million. And he was like, okay, cool. Where can I buy one? and everyone in the chat's like, yeah, sure fucking thing. So people like it's a pretty argumentative group too. And so they're like, all right, fuck you, dude. Like, sure thing. I'll believe it when I see it. And he goes, and so he's like, no, I'm serious. Like, I want to. And so then after that, he like kind of is quiet for a while and like the chat's going on. And then the Sotheby's auction is happening.
Silly tunas.
And it's going. I think the bid was what, like 6 million or something. And everyone's like, wow, it's going to go for really cheap. And then someone randomly comes in and bids like $15 million. And everyone's like, what? Why did they do that? And he literally did it to say fuck you to everyone because they were like, you would not spend 8 figures on this. And he paid extra to be like, fuck you, yes I will.
Yeah.
Like, you guys said I wouldn't bid 8 figures on this thing, and I would, and so I paid extra just to prove a point. And so he has that kind of money.
Yeah. So
Some would say "fuck you" money.
yeah. That is like the definition of fuck you
like,
money.
and when he bought that, a floor punk, I believe, was under 40 ETH.
Yeah.
And it was like before this whole run where like Visa buys a punk. So like in my head, I'm like, well, that's a top sign. Like guys who
Yeah.
are worth billions of dollars are just like, fuck it. Like, how does it get any stupider than that?
He probably forgot he even owns it. He probably doesn't even remember that he owns the punk anymore.
He has to remember.
Yeah, he probably does.
Yeah, like,
But-
but it's hard to like discern like that from Katy Perry doing her nails with Monero and Litecoin and Ripple shit coins, and then be like, okay, which one of these is a top sign? Is it like the guy worth billions of dollars spending tens of millions on a picture,
Just to prove a point. To a group
or is
chat.
it Katy Perry taking a picture at Crypto Bahamas with Sue and Kyle and SBF? It's like,
I feel like the one difference that's still really hard to discern is people like the guy who bought that punk, and like the guys who came from the poker world and stuff, is those are people who are very risk on people in
Yes.
life,
Yes.
who have
Yes.
made their money because they find alpha and they
Take a
put
risk.
their money
Bet
where
big.
their mouth is, and
Yeah.
they bet big on it and have been successful over time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like it's hard to get yourself into the right headspace, but like those people are people you actually want to be in the same markets as.
For sure.
Because as long as you're not trading against them, you want to be trading alongside them because they are very sharp people who have made a name for themselves. Whereas like Katy Perry taking photos with like crypto founders, Katy Perry has no alpha. She's going to be the last person. She is too busy. To
Don't
be
she's
the
going
one,
to
like-
show us Ethereum
You-
max.
You don't think she's passionate about privacy?
Oh, I think
Very
she
much so.
owns a bag of Monero. She's a top 5 holder. She buys all her drugs with Monero.
She's the reason that Binance delisted. Actually, it was just too much size. They couldn't handle it.
She was the market maker.
Yeah.
Do you have? We were talking about it earlier, like people who come to you. Have you ever gotten like dumb project pitches where they're like, "Yo, bro, I'm building this thing. You want to be a part of it? I think you're gonna love it, man."
Yeah, a lot with music stuff. I think a lot with music stuff. I did.
You said no to all of it.
The only space that I agreed to co-host was with OMG Kirby, because I thought that was cool. I thought
Gotcha.
that was a cool
I
way
bought
to
a bunch of
utilize it. But yeah, so many dumb projects where I'm just like, it's not gonna. Do you even do anything in the music industry? Like, you don't understand how this process works. Why?
Bro, we're gonna put
that-
the royalties on the chain.
I'm just like, you know, when-
Spotify, but on the chain.
it's, and I get that, like, I also get the growing pains of trying to integrate something into something else and failing to show you what the actual problem is. I totally get that. But some of them I was just like, oh no, you're looking for a bag, you know? And if it was something that deserved constructive criticism, for sure, I'd be like, hey, as somebody that's both been on this side, like the number side, and been an artist, I'm gonna let you know I don't see a future in this. Like I don't think this is, but what I do see a future in is if you utilized it in this way, you know.
Have you had people actually like alter what they're doing and do something differently, or
No,
is it much like, dude,
they're-
you're full of shit? Like, I'm
Yeah,
sending
well,
it.
usually it's just like, well, that's not gonna make me money fast. You know what I mean? Like,
Wait, you mean I have to actually work on this for
I mean, you're telling
a long
me
time?
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
make 10 million in
like
a day?
I said before, dude, the worst thing you can do is deliver. You don't want to deliver. Absolutely not.
you-
Overpromise, underdeliver.
What do
Or
you think
never.
about the like music NFT stuff and all of that kind of like Sound and Royal and all those projects? Have you looked into them at all?
Yeah, I mean, I've looked into them. And like I said, I think it's just part of the growing pains of a new industry of where you got to find out, is this something that resonates with people or is it not something that resonates with people? I think, you know, a lot of interesting concepts. Let's see what it's like when people actually use it, I guess. Like Audius, I think is really cool. I think decentralized music is really cool. But I also think, and I think they're very innovative. I think it's really cool that they went and did this. But I'm also like, I am so hooked on Spotify, and it's
just
so
too convenient.
easy and convenient
It's
to
so
me
easy.
that I won't even use Apple Music. You know what I mean? And I'm an artist. Like it's like when Tidal came out, and I'm like, oh, I love that they're paying artists more. The music quality is better. I love my algorithm, brother. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm paying $15 a month for the family plan. I
I
love
got
this.
Hulu thrown in, I think. Like,
And
let's
it's nothing
use it.
against them. It's like there's always a niche. It's like just how SoundCloud have the SoundCloud rappers, and there's an ecosystem in which it's less eyes, but it's obviously somebody that's on Audius is an active listener looking for that community. So there could, in theory, be an artist that pops off in that realm, just like there are artists that pop off in Web3 that wouldn't necessarily see success in like a traditional music industry because they are in that community and that community supports them and they push them off. So yeah, that's why I'm like, I never write off something that's a good concept, because obviously there are people that think like that and it could evolve over time.
And I feel like with a lot of those types of projects, you just have to like keep like iterating and iterating, because I think when I think about music, it's something that is so like deeply foundational to culture. Like it doesn't make sense that it would have nothing. Like if there is some sort of culture in crypto or on the blockchain, like you would assume that eventually there'd be some like intertwining of them, but just like you have to keep throwing things at the wall until they stick.
You just need like one hit song. Like that originates from in my head, it's like if you have one song that goes super viral, that's like
that was a sound drop,
top of Spotify, that originated from this. It's like, oh, people look up that artist, they're like, oh, what do they do? And then they might see it, but it's kind of like finding like the crypto game that goes viral that maybe brings more users to blockchain gaming. Like if that is a thing, it's like we haven't seen it yet, but it feels likely to happen at some point.
I'm kind of excited for, I can't really talk about it, but this will come out later, but the Wu-Tang album stuff with Pleaser DAO, I think that has a chance. I've been trying to help them out and give them some advice. I think there's a chance there could be some really cool stuff with that.
It sounds like the people who had the rights like may have changed their mind and are more open to sharing it now. Is that
we probably will have to cut this. Pleaser DAO now owns the rights to the full album. So we could drop the whole album on Spotify tomorrow if we wanted to.
Yeah, like something with RZA, like he was like cool
so
with
basically he was gonna sell the album to the
RZA being cool with it definitely makes sense.
And so he came to Pleaser DAO and was like, hey, we're gonna sell the rights to the album. Do you want to sell the physical album as well? And we were like, no, we want to buy the rights to the album. Like what the fuck? Yeah. And so now that we own it, we're gonna we're working alongside the members of Wu-Tang who are like still excited about this. Yeah. And gonna do some pretty cool stuff.
That's the way you want to do it. Like you want the people who made the music to be bought into it. You don't want Shkreli being a dickhead and then like, creating a rift between the people who made the music and then the person who owns it.
I feel like one of the most, you ever think back at the last cycle and think of like all the insane moments? Like I'll never forget going, oh, I'm going to watch Up Only today. And it's like Shkreli,
Do Kwon.
Dude, I was just that was one of those moments that I was just sitting there conscious of the history that I was witnessing. Just like, this is going to be memed out of control for eons.
Do Kwon thought he was like invincible at that time too. It was like,
shit talking everyone on Twitter.
Yeah. And now like,
yeah.
SBF has been an interesting one to watch too.
Yeah.
We're finally, I feel like that's concluded as of last week?
Yeah.
The stuff will get appealed and all that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
25 years.
Yeah.
It seems.
Going back and looking at the GCR prediction is crazy.
Yeah, I know.
He was like, what, 1 year off?
Yeah. He was like, he'll get 24 years, but after blah, 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 his family spending so much money and appealing, he'll end up with 11 to 12.
I mean, 11.
So if that happens, I'm just.
He would be pretty young. I mean, 11 to 12, he'd be like 42 or 44.
Yeah. That's 25 is
a lot.
That's
He gets out.
I mean, for what he did. I just mean like in terms of your life, like probably not going to see your parents pass away.
How do you like
too old for kids? Yeah,
I compare Sam's to like Ross Ulbricht's. It's like
it's tough.
Ross
but
is
I think the difference is like
he tried to kill somebody.
As a dev, what do you think?
As a dev,
well, no, I think the biggest difference between those is that one of the crimes is something that like the government has like so vehemently fought against.
Yes, the war on drugs.
Yeah, and so it's like it's this thing where they have to, even if like when you kind of think through who was hurt by this and all of that, maybe based on your opinions, like Ross's stuff was way less bad, but I think in the government's eyes,
Yeah.
It was like a period of time where they just like could not in any way be lenient with the situation.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer. I think that
It's rough.
I think that he got a pretty unfair shake with all of it. But
Well, yeah, the whole like hit thing is crazy too. Like
I had no idea what to believe or not believe with any.
yeah, but Sam, we just had CZ kind of go through this last year, right? Or was that this year?
That was
last year?
fall.
I think it was
yeah.
like end of last year.
Yeah.
And like CZ was like, hey, I'll take the whatever penalties you want to throw at me. I'll be the lightning rod. And then like we're seeing that for Sam. It's like a cleansing thing though. Like that makes me bullish.
Yeah.
Like people who argue, oh, you shouldn't buy Solana because like Sam was involved. It's like, no, the fact that Sam is in jail behind bars, like this is so bullish for this token.
Yeah.
Because look at what it is without him there. No one's using Serum.
Yeah.
No one's using the shit that he built and invested in. They're just using the chain for what it affords.
People are attempting to use Radium.
Well,
God. Someone needs to fork Radium. Someone needs to fork it.
Dude.
it's
I've oh my god.
have you tried to add liquidity?
23% of my alt tweets are just like
Radium.
everybody involved in the development of Radium
Should be taken out back. Old Yeller.
dude. Oh, it should be
I might
forced.
follow your alt account then.
Should be I'm keeping it as anonymous as possible.
No, I'm saying I might actually already because I've seen
Yeah.
those tweets.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah, see, that's like you can't show up to a. Oh wow, I like this guy. I like his music. Radium sucks. You know, I can't tweet that.
Kill the devs.
Yeah.
Devs are dead. I'm in. I feel like with Radium too, like we're so used to Uniswap, and it just kind of works. And like
I'm
sometimes
just like, how do you come after that and not just go, all right, we'll copy all of that? You know what I mean?
well, yeah, I don't know if it's how like the order book stuff works, but like trying to add liquidity on Solana, like
I've never tried because I don't want to go into that headspace of.
you have
Even
to,
trying to swap on Radium
yeah.
is, yeah.
dude, you have to like get a link. Like it's not just like go to Uniswap, click polls, new pool, and then set a range or use the full range. It's like you got to get a link, and then that link is used to like it's like a centralized thing that allows you to make the pool. And then you can't just go in and be like, I want to add 50 Sol and 10 grand. Like, it's not like that. It's like you have to fucking be a rocket scientist to use it.
Yeah.
And for me, there's been so many times in Solana where I want to add liquidity. I'm like, oh, this is new. Like, this is going to cook. It's like, I don't know how to do it. Like, and I see it happen. I see it happening on
That
the.
is bullish.
I see it
Yeah.
happening on the chain. Like, people are adding and removing liquidity, and I'm like,
It's probably all bots.
yeah, probably. I mean, that's another thing with Solana. Like, you look at the holder count and it doesn't really mean anything. Like, I had psyoped myself into thinking since Bohm had as many holders as With, that why shouldn't it be the same price as With? And it's like, well, the more I thought about it, it's like, well, I could make 10,000 new Bohm holder wallets for like under $50.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, how many of these metrics that I'm looking at are actually like false
Totally
metrics?
gamified.
Yeah. I'm still going through that progress. Is like I'm trading. I'm like, is this metric that I'm waiting like even important?
That's also why like I said, I stepped back after last cycle. And I was like, all right, let's find your strengths, and then that's what we'll work on the next cycle. Like somebody like you that understands the back end. That takes years. Like I'm not just gonna pop in and watch a couple YouTube videos. You know what I mean? With
I could
somebody
spin
like
up
this,
my own contract.
you know, be a dev in crypto now. Yeah, yeah.
Dude,
I
I can't
We
stand.
are getting probably
wanna-
close to.
I gotta ask the question.
oh, sorry.
We're getting. No, that's all right. We can. I just wanted to at least flag it.
Yeah, we're at 4:30. We have a question we ask everybody.
Uh-oh.
Do you know it?
No.
It's what would the title of your autobiography be? And then so I used this question as like a basis for the thumbnail art. So like I'll take things we talked about in this conversation, but the title of your autobiography is normally like directly in the prompt.
I'm not gonna lie. I just tweeted that the other day, but I don't know if I want to use it. But I will tell you what that one was: is life's a bit and then you die.
Yeah.
Um,
That goes back to you being in high school thinking, I need to run for student body.
so I can make my joke. I'm
So I can
trying.
make
I'm
the
trying to
joke.
get these jokes off, brother. Yeah. Honestly, that
I think it's a good one.
could be it.
like
I like that.
I said it earlier in the podcast, and that's just, I think I found out that I'm the happiest when I'm deeply present. Like I'm very, very, very there. That's why it does take some prying to like ask me questions, because I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to think about it.
But once we get you out there,
yeah,
you're in the mode.
I was existential as a kid. I was talking to Nina about this. I was like, what was the first time you felt very existential as a child? You know, just a easy dinner question.
Yeah.
And I was like, I distinctly remember my dad giving my little sister a bath when I was a really small child, probably like, I don't know, 5 or 6 or something, and just wanting to cry, looking at her and going, I'm never going to get younger. Like I'm always going to get older. And I feel like as I get older, I'm responsible for more things, and that's so much pressure, and I'm never going to be that carefree again. And I told my dad this, and I can't even imagine sitting there washing your new daughter and being like,
You're like, are you all right, son?
okay, buddy.
You're like,
Why don't you go play with the cars
you want
again?
some pancakes?
fuck, I'm old.
Yeah, God.
Your dad's like, Jesus Christ.
And like, I learned over time, like when you're present and you're living in the moment, that's everything else is done, and everything in the future isn't guaranteed. So that's life's a bit, and then you die, brother. Just
Dude, I love that. Well, I appreciate you being present with us the last couple
I appreciate
hours.
the time. I'm glad we got to do this.
This has been a vibe. We have these type of conversations in Denver or
Yeah.
at the Skulls event, but it's nice to record one, put it on the books. It is nice. It's like forced presence in a way.
Yeah.
It's like you can't host a 2-hour-long podcast and not be present.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Be a pretty shit podcast.
I think maybe
Even with
two-
our ADD, I feel like you would ask me a question, I'd answer it halfway, and then just shift us somewhere else sometimes.
I mean, that's half our conversation sometimes. We're
Yeah.
very free flowing. But this has been a blast, man. Yeah,
It's been great.
Looking forward to tonight.